All right, all right. Yeah, I'm live. What's missing from the music? Question mark. Let's get into it. All right, y'all. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. Um, I can drop this. Drop that. I can get out of this because I did that. Quit. Save. Yeah, what up, everybody? What up, Derek? What up, Dandelion? So listen, what I'm doing for all my TikTokers out there, I'm live on YouTube tonight, and I want to do something. I've been wanting to do this, and I'm gonna do it tonight. It's called "What's Missing from the Music," and I realized, shoot, now that I think about it, I can do it on here. I can do it on here as well, on TikTok, and simultaneously do it on YouTube as well. What up, Dr. Trini? Been a minute. How you been, babe? What's up, Venus? Yeah. So what I'm deciding to do is have a conversation with y'all to discuss, if there's something missing from the music. A lot of artists don't get the benefit of having somebody who knows their stuff really help them articulate what needs to happen with their music. A lot of times you get the no. You just get a straight up no, or you never find out why people do or don't like your material. And it's kind of, it sucks. It doesn't give you any, like idea of what you should be doing or where you should be going. And that could be disheartening most of the times. So I'm doing well. So I was like, yo, let's have a conversation about what's missing in the music. Whether it's a lyric. What up, Letitia? You like the lighting? I'm shooting from a different camera tonight. So yeah, it's a little bit differently, a little different. Let me add your comment. Look at that, Letitia. You in the live right there. Booyah. Letitia says, wow, the lighting is awesome. I'm gonna make that a little bit smaller because I want to put it somewhere where everybody can see it regularly. There we go. So I'm doing well. If you guys want to join me over on YouTube, or you could do it here, right? So here's how we're gonna do it. You guys can email me your music, and I'll play it through the live, and we'll talk about what's missing, or if it's banging, if it's fire or whatnot. And that's how we'll do it. What up, Mary? So I'm gonna start it off. I'm gonna play this record, and I realized that this record has more meaning than I thought it had at one point. So I'm gonna end up releasing this, but I want to put some visuals to it. I would have liked them to already send it, but we can do it off the cuff. What up, Teray? So I'm gonna play this song, right? It's a really big record, and I think it's gonna be the kind of record. Make sure y'all share and hit the likes. Make sure y'all are sharing on YouTube as well, and on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and all that. So I'm gonna play a song that I think is that in the backdrop of it, I'm gonna have Kanye West and some of the clips that have been written about Kanye. I'm gonna have some clips that have been written about Kyrie. I'm gonna have some clips about the movie and everything like that. Somewhat, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we're gonna kind of listen. So here's a song that I think if you imagine this is gonna be a controversial record based off of not only subject matter, but based off of what's going the info is in my Instagram. But based off of what's going on with these current events. And I'm gonna want flashes of all the things that have happened over the last 3 years, from COVID to George Floyd to Trump to, all these different clips of playing the background of this song right here. Check it out. It's called Turn on the Lights. Let me start it here. There's a voice. Tell me if the volume is too loud or too low. Traveling with the wind, it's loud as thunder. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Let me start it again. Let me give the disclaimers one more time. Make sure you guys are hitting the likes, sharing the lives. Make sure on YouTube you guys are hitting the thumbs up and you're sharing as much as you possibly can. And then I'm playing this record. I won't interrupt it. And the movie and book came out in 2018. Yeah, that's a real big book. There's a voice, traveling with the wind, it's loud as thunder, barreling from within.
the storm, telling me we've got to ring the alarm to turn on the lights so the whole world can see. Turn on the lights and we'll make them believe. Turn on the lights for you and for me. It's been dark for too long. That's why I want to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. With open eyes, I hope I share this view with you. To do the things we're all commissioned to. Hey, lead each other, guide each other, just like the sun. 'Cause we can't stop until the job is done. And we turn on the lights so the whole world can see. Turn on the lights and we'll make them believe. Turn on the lights for you and for me. It's been dark for too long. That's why I want to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. They say that I'm the spark that's gonna light the fire, elevate the flame and take this light higher, illuminate the sky and make the world brighter. 'Cause deep inside we all share the same desire to turn on the lights so the whole world can see. Turn on the lights and we'll make them believe. Turn on the lights for you and for me. It's been dark for too long. That's why I want to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. To turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Whoa, to turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights. Turn on the lights.
Yep.
Turn on the lights.
Yeah, so that's a record. I actually wrote it for Akon when he was doing his initiative called Akon Lighting Africa. And it's still on the table, but I think it needs to come out now for all these. Yep. Dr. Trini is saying on TikTok, it's time for our people to wake up to see with all three eyes, realize how powerful we are. And that led me to this. I don't know if you guys seen my last Instagram story, but it's telling you right now we are in the age of Aquarius. Now I don't know if y'all know what that means, but my cousin called me, hit me, put me up on game. He was like, "Look, cuz you doing the right thing, you having the right conversation, but you got to dive in, go a little deeper, and you got to, he was like more or less like, what's the end game?" And I was saying that, the end game is for us to establish ourselves as a unit of people who can kind of move things around, and we can have some leverage and whatnot. And so we started talking. I was like, he's like, what's the goal? Like, what's the goal? And I was like, well, economically, we don't, our dollar doesn't circulate the way it should in our community. And the reason being is because we don't own anything and we're not producing anything. And so we have to pool our money together now so we can do that. And I think that this Kyrie Irving situation and this Kanye West situation is ripe for the opportunity for us to pull ourselves together. Sometimes we need something to help us focus. And I'm looking at these two individuals and the scenario that's going on is waking people up. See, before we were in the age of Pisces, which was the faith, you were having faith and whatnot. And now that you're in the Aquarius, which is knowing, if you look at the post that I put, it says right now things will be revealed to you and you will know the truth. And so this is why there's such a nervous energy in society right now, is because the truth is being revealed. The truth is being offered up and people don't want to let go of the lie. So there's been a lie that's been imparted on us for so many years, and it's and us being here in America, it's just been doubled down and doubled down and doubled down over and over and over again. And now that the truth is starting to become part of the conversation, those people who have thrived off of the lie do not want to hear it. They don't want things to change. It's like trying to take a rattle from a baby. You know what I mean? Like that baby has a grip on it and it likes having that rattle. Well, that's where we're at right now. We're dealing with these situations because people don't want to include us in the conversation, especially when it comes to our origin story. Our origin story is and has us included from the beginning. So when people try to remove us from that, it's kind of awkward, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that they would rather continue trying to fabricate this lie, but they've exploited it long enough, and trying to call us anti-Semitic does not allow for that lie to continue, especially when we know the truth. And this, this documentary, they're hanging on the opportunity to discount one part of it, where the author of it says, he mentions that his conversation about the Holocaust and whatnot. And so they have a discourse about that, because there's a belief that in the author's conversation, he believes that the numbers are being fabricated. And if y'all don't understand, this is what the premise of them coming to light is about. Like, you didn't hear about them that way until, they needed an event to be a part of history, And and this is, again, I was having a conversation with my cousin. He just kept outlining, like, you got to look at these historical events of the past and understand why they happened and why they're being told the way they are, And now that narrative is being challenged with truth and facts, y'all see I put a challenge out there for the media. I said, listen, if y'all can point to a way that Kyrie made a statement, I'd love to hear it. Because just posting on my Instagram doesn't make a statement. I can post right now something like Star Wars. Is somebody going to admonish me for posting Star Wars and say it has a duplicit meaning or something, or tell me how I felt about what I posted? If I post Star Wars, you have no idea what I'm talking about, nor should you be able to dictate what I'm saying. There is no, and as I said earlier, and Rose, I didn't even know you were in that room. I don't know if anybody else was in. I know Jersey showed up. I was in a hostile environment. I put myself in harm's way earlier today. I joined a room that was clearly an all-Jewish room, and the host was from Israel or whatnot. And, of course, they don't want the conversation to come out. Y'all should have been in there. The room was rife with exactly what's happening. It's like it's a script. It's like they've all read the same manual on how to manage and behave in these situations, because what they did was the same throughout the whole. It was just like what's happening in society. In society, they don't want Kanye to speak. They don't want Kyrie to speak, even though they got those microphones in their face. They're waiting for them to say something that's going to to undermine them. So what up, Beauty? So with Kyrie, they haven't established that yet. They're waiting for Kyrie to say something that undermines the fullness of the conversation, and they deflect. So what we're not talking about is the initial reason why either one of them spoke out in the beginning. Now, Kanye might have went a bit broad. He might have added a whole lot of other stuff, but he left room on the table for them to insert the conversation that they want and that they've been running with. He said some things that were a little bit more on the hostile side, but how everybody's thinking and how you think in that matter. When he said the DEFCON thing, yeah, everybody say, man, like if a police officer did you wrong, did you dirty, you'd be like, man, I'll shoot a cop right now. That's how you would say it. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't actually do it, but your sentiment would say, hey, man, I'll go do something crazy. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it is. They kept asking if I seen the whole documentary, and I haven't, so I didn't have an opinion. But Rose, they hadn't seen the whole documentary either. If you kept listening to them say the point that he said about the Holocaust, they stopped. They said after he said that, I couldn't, after that, there was nothing else to talk about. They just discredited his whole thing. And I said, no, it didn't. That happens 24 minutes into the film, 24 to 25 minutes into the film. And for them to say that it discredits it means I mean, they were looking for a point to hold on to so that they could run with that point. You can't even get them to talk about anything else because all they want to say is, well, he said this about the Holocaust. Well, he said this about the Holocaust. And I kept saying, well, what else did he say? What else did he say? Because you're not going to discount this whole documentary based off of one statement you don't agree with. If anything, you're going to examine the body of work and you will give credit where credit is due. You'll say, you know what, 80% of what he said, you'll say 80% of what he said, 90% of what he said was spot on. I will give you that. But they can't give that credit because they don't know how to defend it. Once they say that you're right, they can't defend it enough to merit even speaking about the wrong part. That's the whole point of that whole conversation. So when they kept trying to pigeonhole me and try to narrow me, I'm like, yo, I can't compete with you idiots. I can't compete with you idiots while you are over talking each other and not showing any kind of respect. And that's the whole conversation of why y'all keep on attacking these two individuals is because y'all want some sort of respect. Respect is given when respect is when respect is given, you'll get respect. And so I just said, you know what, y'all talk amongst yourselves because y'all rhetoric is a loop. Y'all just keep saying the same thing on a loop versus discussing these factual situations that break that loop. And it's not hard. It's not hard to break that loop. But they're comfortable in that. Y'all got to understand, the reason why this conversation is so crazy is because they've been repeating it over and over so they could believe it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And these people, y'all don't understand that, like, they were not happy with me being on their live. They were not happy. They were not happy. And you could hear it. And here's the thing, and you could see it in just the way the room was being managed. For instance, the host of the room would admonish any of the black voices that were speaking, but he would allow for his Jewish counterparts to overtalk everybody. He would allow them to finish their sentences. And then when you interrupted them, just as they interrupted you, he'd then say, I got to do da-da-da-da. And I got kicked down maybe 2 or 3 times. I got kicked down off of the stage. He brought me back up, but he kicked me down a few times as if to do what's happening in society. He kicked me down to show me I'm in control of this. You don't run this. I run this. I'm in control of this. That's what I felt. I felt like, oh, okay, now, and I said it too publicly. I let everybody on the live know, here on this social media platform is exactly what we're dealing with in our actual personal lives. You're dealing with an individual who is showing you exactly what's happening out in real time with Kyrie and Kanye, Kaepernick, and all these other leaders whose narratives have been told by those people who feel they're offended by it. How you gonna tell the narrative and you don't even know? So a lot of deflecting is going to be happening as you guys watch this thing come to light. They're going to want to talk about one sector of this conversation and not the sector of the conversation that's inclusive. And if you guys were in that live earlier, you heard me say that to them as well. I said, listen, man, how are you going to have this conversation when it's really about inclusion? This whole thing is about Kanye being included, Kyrie being included, and the black men of America, black men in general being included in the conversation of our ancestry and where we were coming from. You know what I'm saying? So that's also, like I said, my cousin's conversation with me was the same. What is the end goal? Well, the end goal is this. It looks like the way things are shaping up. Hopefully more people wake up and recognize this. Now, I hate using the term wake up because it's been overused and it's not one of those words that gets people to mobilize. But as Kyrie and Kanye are being attacked publicly, it should give us the wherewithal to say, how do we stop that from happening? That the one Jewish lady, Messa, she made a great point. Which I had already stated, but the point that she was making was, but she was trying to say I was upset too, which was killing me. I was like, yo, I'm not upset. You can't be upset at factual things. Like, who gets mad about things that are facts? They are what they are, and you can't change them. They're facts historically. So the bottom line of it was, and I've been hearing this, and y'all see me post it, build. We have to 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 shape things the way we want them in the areas that we want them. Because if we don't shape it, nobody's going to shape it for us. What does that look like? That looks like what the first step that I was proposing is getting that black dollar to circulate. And I keep saying black dollar. I'm sorry. To get the circulation of money in the black community to circulate more amongst itself. And that means everybody's dollars. Like, I know there are people out there who are hurting and in anguish over what's happened in the past that are not black. I know there are people in other communities that want to say, listen, man, we see it. We know what it is. Let us help y'all. You know what I'm saying? Lola's funny said, and they will come and blow it up. But no, they won't this time, Lola, because now we know better. We have to protect what we build. And listen, ooh, that's such a word. I should change the title of this to protect what you build, because too many times we do not protect what we build. We're finding that out about Kanye and his Adidas deal. He didn't properly protect what he built. We're finding that out in all kind of levels of conversation, that we're not protecting what we build. When she was talking about, these artists going to sign into these labels that have these people at the top, that are oppressing or whatnot, she says, well, why don't you go to your own? And the reality is, we build our music, we build our entertainment, we build our culture only to turn it over to other people to control. How is it not a record label out there that's called R&B whatever, and it be controlled by the people who create it? Like, if I'm gonna tell y'all all, listen, I need everybody on my live to do this. You need this. If you don't have any book in your library, I need y'all to cop this book called Powernomics. And I need you to read it and internalize it. Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. Powernomics. Some of you already have it, but Powernomics, Powernomics, Powernomics. And I'm saying that all day, Trini. We have to support black businesses. And I don't even need your trust immediately. I just need you to do what needs to be done. I'm not even looking, listen, for what needs to be done. I don't need your trust. I need your action. I just need you to do it unconsciously. And I don't need you to feel like I need to trust you. None. I just need you to do it. It's right there, right above you, Trini, type Dr. Claude Anderson, and then it's Powernomics. Instead of economics, it's Powernomics. And these are the things that, even when I'm saying start learning these black businesses that are around you right now, so when Black History Month comes, we can shake up the world, it's so that you can understand where to spend that dollar at, and know that from that point on, we're going to have to spend that black dollar regularly. It's crazy because we look at, that's what you do right there. Social Butterfly says she purchased the Power Packs years ago, and what it is there are more than one book. You know what I mean? There's Powernomics, and then there's Dirty Little Secrets, and I don't know the other one. I only have those two. But as we're moving in that direction, and that dollar circulates in our community, listen, do y'all notice in Miami? I think they have like a little Haiti. They have a little Haiti in Miami, and I think in that circle of places that they spend within the community. But we don't have these areas that we should have and used to have, where we could go and all the black businesses are there. Well, listen, Rose, the reason why we can't get loans is because we ain't got no bank. Like, there's a bank here in Atlanta, but people are loaning to people who look like them, who understand their plights. So we have to start building. It takes money. It takes money. And exactly, Trini is giving you some game. Life insurance, when most people, and y'all might not want to hear this, but when most people pass away in the Black community, they leave a bill. They leave a bill. Y'all seen it too many times. Hey, let's get a collection together for this and for that. There's a bill that's left. In other communities, they get life insurance, and when that person gets loses their life or whatever happens, they get a exit of $150,000, $200,000 or more. Some of them have $1 million insurances. Good evening. I appreciate you speaking out about this. I am a business owner. Yeah, for sure. They get a bump, and that family is elevated. So imagine you come from a 2-parent household, and one of your parents passes away, and they have insurance. That's $150,000 on up. It could be some crazy amount of money, if depending on who it is or how much they put on their life insurance. But that's $200,000-$300,000 right there. Then your other parent passes away. That's another $200 or $300. But even before that, listen to this. When you put money into your life insurance, y'all do know you can borrow against your life insurance policy. And if you believe you have a great idea, if you believe that you're on to something, then those are the kind of investments you make while you're able-bodied and have your mind straight. And yes, social pooling the money together is something that needs to happen. And it ain't gotta be, listen, in those instances, you have to build with people who want the same things from you, that want the same things that you want. And that's where I understand the challenge of trusting somebody comes into play. I absolutely understand. At that point, you have to vet and use trustworthy people, but you also got to have the same things that banks would have. Hey, I'm down, but listen, should this thing go south, some way you got to have an ability to make me whole again, because I'm not putting my money in a place fruitlessly. I'm not putting my money up on something that has everything has a potential of failing, but in that, I'm not going to put up, especially a lion's share of it, and then be the one who takes the biggest loss. These situations are happening in real time right now, and if we don't manage to put the play together while we're healthy and young and fresh and able-bodied, then it won't ever happen. Make sure y'all sharing the live, y'all. It won't ever happen. At some point, y'all got to say, those before us didn't have this blueprint or this access that we have. Let's show them that what you have to do when you have this kind of access and make the changes and make the adjustments. When we have it, we got to do it. We got it now. And we have we have a motive and initiation, and we have a main stage that we're on right now. Whether y'all know it or not, people are globally watching how we handle this anti-Semitic conversation. Y'all got to know that. There's a whole world of people out there saying, stand up, brother, stand up. I understand that, Tuffy, but that's the whole point of it, right? Either you allow things to happen to you and you don't learn from it and you never revisit it, or you allow things happen and you see what you went through and you get up and you change the narrative. We won't do what we did last time. We will protect what's ours. Yep, that whole life insurance you can borrow against, right? We have a whole in term, but we can only borrow against the whole. Yeah, so there you go. So you can't complain about access to money when you're already investing into that access. You just got what isn't taught, what isn't learned is the ability to use not only good credit, but also to leverage the ways that people get and use money. Listen, having good credit but not knowing how to leverage it is horrible. And it's a thought process that you have to go over and over again. Our counterparts who have good credit they're not afraid of getting a loan and not paying it back. They're not afraid of that. They're not afraid of screwing up their credit to get the amount of money that they need to build their businesses with and then go out and build their businesses. Now, we can't talk about those things that happened in the past without educating people on what worked. What worked is building a business and an infrastructure and letting people know where it's at, and people come to it. There needs to be an area in every city. You know why Asian dollars circulate the way they do? There's almost in every major city. What can you go to? What can we go to, y'all? Every major city, what can you go to? You can go to little Haiti, little Hong Kong. You can go to China, what is it called? Little China city or whatever. Every city has an Asian area. Every city. You can see it by the writing on the thing. So Trini, the creating of our own currency, just so you understand, Chinatown, that's it, social, thank you. Creating our own currency, the challenge behind doing that is this. We're watching other countries try and do that, and we're watching, those people are getting taken out because even trying to start your own money devalues the currency that is the strength of this country. And they'll defend that more than they'll defend your life. They're not playing no games with that. So what you have to do is you have to learn how to use what they aim to harm you to help you. If we have to use the American dollar, then why don't we use the American dollar in our neck of the woods more often? Why don't we make all of the things that are culturally taken from us, and we figure out a way to monetize it where people have to pay us for using the culture that we bring? True enough. And that's why they're trying to that's why the US Trini, that's why the US is barking at everybody who's trying to make gold the leverage. I don't know if y'all knew that, but Muammar Gaddafi, that was his whole thing. He was trying to convert and they took him out. He was trying to make the new currency overseas gold. But with that, we still have to mind. None of that matters if we don't know how to mind the business that is ours. We don't know how to mind the business that is ours. We're so involved with everybody else while everybody else is trying to be or do like us on so many levels. We contribute in so many ways, but we don't receive that credit or the money or the resources for establishing these things. Yeah, we created the credit card, but nobody has a patent on it that's black that's receiving money down the road. We haven't gone to bat for Henrietta Lack yet to get some kind of reparations for the family and for the black community for these people using her cells to cure the world, or at least to figure out what makes us work. Keep hitting the like button, y'all. Keep sharing the room. Those are the things that it's not about buying American, Tuffy. It's about investing in those who look like you and create things from your community. And then not only us circulating that money, but allowing outside communities to come in and do it. Y'all know why the reason why little Chinatowns and those exist and work is because not only do China people shop there, but you shop there. Where do you go when you want authentic Asian food? You go to the Asian sector I go to a place here called Monkey 68. Everybody who works there is Asian. Every last one. So that means all the money that they make comes from outside communities and maybe a few Asians here and there. And then they pay other Asians for their work with that dollar that comes from outside their community. And then they go and buy clothes or buy food or send it back to Asia to help their families. Y'all do understand that's how that works. We don't have a black place of business most of the time. Most black people who are working in restaurants are working in somebody else's restaurant that's not black. Slutty Vegan is an all black place. So there are, that dollar reciprocates from her taking in this money from all the communities, and then paying her employees, and then guess what? Those employees go out and they buy everybody else's stuff. What are you saying, Trini? You said, Rose, you said something. Let me see. Depends on who's in office. Yes, to some degree, because they have to have a want and need to change the narrative. But you have to remember, they all answer to certain people that are above them. Listen, the presidency is run by other folks. And I mean, even other folks outside of the left and right, even outside of the Senate and House, that there are some calls that come down from the presidency from higher than them. Yeah, man. Made in Flint. So if you know that, then you understand that he's just a figurehead and there's only so much he's going to be able to do. The community has more power than all of them. But the community is so divided. And again, this is the reason why I'm hoping this situation is going to be enough to gain the momentum for people to pool their interests together. Right now, our interests aren't even together. How can we move? And this is why I keep putting this information out there. And I want y'all to understand. Listen, putting this stuff out there, being a spokesperson on behalf of our community is a rough responsibility. And I don't have the resources that Kyrie Irving has or Kanye. So even from my aspect of jumping into this conversation in this fight, y'all gotta understand, I be sitting here like, yo, all this stuff will forever reverberate throughout cyberspace. I am hoping and praying that everybody starts to wake up and starts to get it and find their voice and find their opportunity to be a part of it. That's right. Letitia said, just like most Mexicans, they send 3,000 to 4,000 to Mexico every month, Western Union at my part-time job. I can believe it. They absolutely sow back into their community. We need better black leaders that will not bow down and trade sides. It's tough, Trini, because the options that I could assume that they give you is, and right now, Kyrie is probably one of the most awesome examples of standing in the heat of things, because they are threatening every piece of his livelihood. And when these things happen, typically they set you up to try to run your resources in the ground. Now, before they do that, I'm hoping he gets his back pay for when they docked him for not taking the vaccine. Y'all do know every other New Yorker is getting back pay for not taking the vaccine and getting rehired. Now, that's what I've been kind of saying is, socially said, why don't we collectively stop purchasing material, BS, and patronizing those who don't look like us? It's exactly what should be happening, but it takes listen, it's bigger than that. And if we're the ones who create, Tuffy, you wrong for that. Tuffy said they don't have to send it home anymore, Letitia, because they're all here. True story. But at some point, we are gonna have to stop. Hopefully now is the stopping point. I don't want to speak on these things as if they're way off into the distant future. I want to speak on them as if we're right on the corner. We're right here at this point. In the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, all this stuff can be in order. It's not going to be overnight because we're talking about a bigger baby with a bigger rattle that they don't want to let go of. So if y'all understand that this is not going, listen, please prepare to suffer for what we have to go through. If you prepare for the hardships, if you prepare for the buck back, if you prepare for all of the hurdles and all of the then I think that you'll be doing yourself and us a great deed. Meaning, if you're going into, like, when I'm sure when these soldiers go off into these countries that are facing war, they understand that death isn't the only conclusion. There are things that can happen that are, that may even be worse than death. You lose a leg or lose an arm or you lose the ability to see or any of those kind of things. I want y'all to understand there are more things at risk. And you need to think this way as you move forward. Typically, what they try to do in our community, and y'all see it already, is assassinate you publicly and then affect your finances. But what I want y'all to know is anybody who uses that method is also telling you what their kryptonite is. Remember, they really unveiled a whole lot when they showed their colors by accusing Kyrie of something that he didn't do. He didn't say a word. So if he didn't say a word, then what is this mysterious statement that they keep saying he made? He didn't make a statement. They did. They made a statement. And this is how you know how powerful not only this documentary is, but the messaging in it. It's so powerful that they will accuse somebody of doing something that the whole world can see with their eyes didn't happen, and then stand on it. And then try to make hardships for that individual. And try to, the term that's being used, Nick Cannon used it, and it's been it's one of those things that's being spoken on, is buck breaking. They're trying to buck break Kyrie by having him do all these things to be reinstated. And if y'all hadn't seen it, LeBron James has, as of late, went back and said, he kind of defended Kyrie a little bit. It's halfway received, because he never should have said what he said initially. Initially, he should have never said what he said about that it was wrong, because it wasn't. Kyrie never said a word. So how can not saying a word equal the response that he's getting? Then he doubled back and said, I don't agree with the punishment that's out there for Kyrie. And that's because we had another iconic figure in our history, in our generation, which is Farrakhan, came back and said, hey, man, where y'all coming up with this stuff from? What are y'all doing? And yeah, it's hard to talk about that, you know what I mean, about LeBron selling out, but you have to couple that with, Shaquille O'Neal's response, Shannon Sharp's response, and then you got to commend people like Jason Williams, who's come to the forefront and said, this ain't right on no level. What are y'all looking at? What are y'all talking about? And if you're going to admonish him, why aren't we admonishing Jeff Bezos? And what y'all don't realize is Jeff Bezos is not the CEO of his own company anymore. He has a Jewish person running Amazon. Missy, it can't go viral. Missy said, it's crazy how your message went viral. It can't go viral because it's straight no chase. And I'm saying it in a way that the whitest white person and the most Asian person and all these different nationalities can understand. It's simple. It's easy to grasp, and nobody wants to have that. Listen, the last thing they want is an intelligent black man holding this conversation on the worldwide stage. I am not the one to debate or have this discussion with, because it requires logic. And most of these scenarios, logic is the kryptonite. People, you can't have these conversations and introduce logic, because it requires you to think and then adjust, because it makes complete sense. And nothing about this makes any kind of good doggone sense. I don't even get into the debate of Democrats and Republicans, Tuffy. I will tell you, what's the point of arguing about the wings of the same bird? I do not argue about the wings. They're both wings on the same bird. No matter how you slice it, they all got the same, they all be on the same agenda. That arguing, that fighting on the outside, that's for us. They get behind those doors that you and I aren't invited to, and they make the deals that make the country go the way they want it to go. And they all benefit from it. These people make an absorbent amount of money to argue, to quote unquote bring these issues to the table. Come on, man, y'all gotta be crazy. True story, but they don't care, because it's not about that. You got to remember, listen, it's financially and monetarily, that's a huge thing in this country, but more so than that, all of that is to have what? It ain't for respect. America don't care if nobody respect it. You know what America cares about? It's three things. Y'all know the words. It's money, power, and respect. That's all you need. That's all you need. Money gets you the power. The power gets you the respect. That's right, Tuffy. It's all for the power. The power. If y'all don't recognize, it's all about power. And so that's all we're talking about is we have none collectively. Yeah, we got 1 or 2 millionaires and billionaires who can live comfortably, but you see that at any point you don't have power to even control your finances because they can at any moment choose to relieve you of it. No, I won't go as far as saying they own us, but I will say right now they absolutely govern us. And it isn't forever because that's a ultimatum word, Tuffy, and forever leads people to hopelessness. And if anything, right now, what any of us need is not it isn't hope. It's the wherewithal to and the willingness and the courage to say we're going to change things. And it's absolutely possible. I need y'all to understand that it's possible. I know you feel helpless, but it's only because you're standing on your own. The moment that we start putting each other in proximity, we start putting these ideas together, it'll start forming and you start seeing like, oh man, this can happen. Oh man, we can do this. Oh man, it's happening. Totally possible. But it's going to take some time and we're going to have to vet out those who will not support us, who look like us, who will not support us. And we got to distance ourselves from them and let them actually see where their loyalty should be. It's not about, listen, in order to change the voting system, Tuffy, you got to have power. And in order to have power, you got to have money. You have to pick up the book Powernomics to help you understand better. We need the money to spend its time in our community. Yeah, you saw that earlier, Alicia? That's why they wouldn't let me speak, though. You know what I'm saying? You can't let the truth, listen, they won't even let you utter the truth because they know it's mind shifting. They don't, when you join other people, listen, let me tell you, two platforms that I've been on TikTok that both communicate the same way because they don't want the truth out there because the truth undermines and exploits their lie. Exactly, Trini. So if you get on a trans stage or you get on a Jewish stage and you say anything towards logic or the truth, you will be met with, especially if it's their stage, you're going to get booted. You're going to get taken down and you have to be typing in the audience, which we know is not even close to effective. And that was the most, Alicia, I pointed out that was the most rudest thing that could have happened earlier. What up, Sonny? They when they didn't like what I was saying and they didn't like my position on stage or whatever, they would stop and then begin speaking in their native tongue and then giggling and laughing and doing all that kind of stuff, which was the most disrespectful, rudest thing I've ever seen anybody do. And then it made me think, I'm so mad at myself that I haven't taken up Hebrew, that I haven't learned a language, a native tongue of African. I'm so disappointed. I know it's not too late, and that's something that we should all be striving to do, is to learn a couple different languages, Hebrew being one of them, and then learn a native tongue of Africa if your roots go back to Africa. Of course, they teach us Spanish here and they teach us French as primary languages. If we're going to do commerce with when it comes to electronics and technology, then we need to learn Chinese and Japanese and Korean and Vietnamese, because that's where the factories are at. Like, honestly, we need to restructure what we're doing. The fact that we're sending our kids to be indoctrinated in different schools, the lies that they're telling, and not saying, hey, I'm not sending my kid to that school. My kid is going to stay home. He's going to learn 4 or 5 different languages. And then we're going to travel every summer to a few different places so they can see the infrastructure of these other countries and to see where they can leverage their knowledge, where they can start their own businesses. That's dope, master. You should learn a lot of it so that when you go overseas, that you're able to say, listen, oh, is this what's popping over here? Oh, this ain't in the United States. Let's barter something. Let's figure it out where I can bring that back to the United States and I can offer it up to my people and I can become a resource. I can become a millionaire, billionaire, whatever. And that's what they do. If you've ever watched Shark Tank, you hear the conversation. Yeah, I go over to Asia to get my worker bees because they're more affordable and they just do the work. I mean, I'm tied into a plant, a manufacturing plant over there. You know, that's dope. Spanish, French, Arabic, Portuguese, Greek, Urdu, you are killing the game. You would be one to tell people how you did it so that they can get motivated to do it. But we as a community don't spend enough time, and it's because of what we're forced to learn. A majority of people went to public schools and they're given this second-rate public conversation and knowledge when in fact we should be nurturing specialists. When you meet or run into somebody who's got an extraordinary gift, why are they doing 8 other things that distract them from their gift? This is what I see other countries do that are excelling more above us. They're starting training their specialists very early on in age. We have to negotiate the time in order to nurture those things. Y'all feel me? We have to negotiate time for our community to start young at not only learning, exploiting, and growing their gift, but to adding any diversity to their lifestyle, as in other languages other than the ones that are being programmed in these schools. The difference is learning these other languages take you to those places that are making a difference in society and in technology. Spanish, I don't know what I'm gonna do down in. Well, I don't know where Spanish is gonna get me. That, you know what I'm saying. I don't know where you know. If anything, they should be teaching Asian, Japanese, Chinese, and Middle Eastern languages and things like that, so that when you're in those environments, you're not like a fish out of water. That you can actively hear the conversation and and respond in kind, so that people will not try to take advantage of you. But we don't do that. Yeah, we should honestly should know. And here's the thing: if you speak to most Africans, they know at least 5 or 6 languages. French being one of them because of the proximity of where they're at, but they know about 5 or 6. At least 5 or 6 languages. And we here, we got some rewiring to do, because we're lazy. We're a lazy people here in the United States. Even though we did all this work, it was physical work. We're lazy mentally. Exactly. We're lazy mentally when it comes to advancing ourselves. Hindu is really big in Florida. Okay, yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna learn some Hindu. I can be honest with you, Letitia. I don't think I'm learning Hindu. If they gave me 5 languages to learn, I learned Japanese, Chinese, Hebrew, Farsi, and maybe one other language in Africa. I just would. Those would be my languages of choice. I may take one out and put French in or whatnot, but you know what I mean? Je parle en français un peu, which is the same as saying yo hablo español un poquito. So I know a little bit of both of those because they're all around us, you know what I'm saying? And you had to, I took French in school, but to practice it in America is null and void. But we have to start training specialists. Right now, we're going to lose because kids are these kids don't know nothing about finance. They don't even know the value of a dollar. Listen, there's always room, Sonny. Always. He said Superman, not Spider-Man back there. Yeah, Spider-Man, so I don't get caught up in the webs, Jay Wellon. I got the spider web on my shoulder as well. It's necessary though, man. Like, we really got to take, listen, Farsi, Farsi. if you look at one of the things I marvel at, I get on Instagram, I mean not Instagram, YouTube sometimes late at night, and on my feed there is a couple guys who have learned all these different languages, man, and they show them going through the different. If you go to New York, there's an environment for you to speak every single language. There's every language represented in New York. There isn't a community in New York that's not from all around the world. And when I say community, I mean just that you can go down certain streets and corners and it's just one community. And you can go down a couple more blocks and it's a whole nother community. And you can go down a whole nother, like, honestly, New York is the training ground for anybody who wants to learn several languages. The only one that may not be represented there is in Africa. And you may have to actually go to Africa or go to DC. I think more in DC you would find more Africans in Washington, DC. That's dope, Sonny. He got it right. So with that, we got to look at what, for instance, here's the reason why learning these languages makes a difference. If you're going to make the most out of commerce, you have to know how commerce works in all these other countries, because maybe you can get your supplies for cheaper if you could speak the language. You know what I mean? Maybe you can circumvent some of these issues that you're having here in the United States by outsourcing. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Trini. You know what I'm saying? Like, the reason why people feel stuck is because you're limited by the access that you have. And the reason why your access is limited because you've created the borders around yourself. You've created the limitations that are there. If you learn these languages, guess what you're more tempted to do? You're tempted to travel. And when you're tempted to travel, what are you tempted to do? Use the language. And if you're using the language, guess what you're tempted to do? Find a way to manage some of the dope stuff that happens in these other countries. I would, for instance, if I was to learn, and I know I said I wouldn't really learn Hindu or the Indian language, but if I should learn it, I'm going to Mumbai. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to Mumbai. I'm sorry. I'm going to Bombay and Mumbai, and I'm going to talk to those women who have this absolutely dope hair that all of the African-American women and Caucasian women here in the United States want to put in their hair. I'm going to go talk to a person over there who is a distributor of it. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, I'm here from the United States. I understand that you guys are selling your hair here for $5 a bundle of the best strains of hair. I'm willing to give you $10,000 right now for you to ship over this hair. What are y'all, crazy? If I'm speaking the language and I know how to negotiate in their language, they're going to say cool, and they're going to be happy and impressed that I learned their language, and they're going to say he means business. He went as far as to learn our language so he could communicate in a way that was respectful to get the best deal he could ever get. Do you imagine if you could go over to India right now and you can have that conversation with those hair people? You'll come back here and become a billionaire. I know girls that spend $600 for that hair. What are you saying? If I was over in India, I'm sure I could get it for the low, $50, because that area is so desolate. And I'm sure they're not paying, the people who charge y'all $600 for that hair ain't paying for that. They're paying some low, ridiculous thing and whatnot because they got a translator or somebody who's a middle person, and they probably paying a little bit more than the $50 so that they can take care of the person who set the deal up. But you can do these things. Listen, I'm trying to help you understand how to break down these borders that you place on yourselves. You're only limited by your education. That's it. Bottom line. That's all I can tell you. You're only limited by your education. And we keep asking and thinking that these school systems, like, instead of calling them the public school system, it should be called the putrid school systems. Why? Because there is no advancement in it. Like, there is no major advancement in it. They are not producing the kind of rock stars that these other countries are because they have a level of free thinking that's available to them. But here they want you to consume the same thing and hope that your perception, they want your perception to be the same. They don't want anybody thinking different. They want you all to say, yep, that's the way the math problem is solved, and that's the way it's going to go. And that's why I didn't fit into any of those boxes, because I don't think like everybody else. I can't. I was that kid that was like, yo, what do you mean I can't do? There's only one way to do that. I just came up with another way. But because I ain't do it your way, now I'm wrong in the class, but I got the right answer. Come on, man, get out of here. You need to be more open-minded. You need to know that you're dealing with somebody who somehow just thinks differently, but it works. But we don't champion that. We actually ridicule that, and we call people illiterate and stupid and challenge the fact that they have come up with another way to do it. And so you don't really understand somebody's brilliance until they're determined enough to show you that, nah, I know what I'm talking about. And it takes a lifetime sometimes. It takes too long for those brilliant people to have an opportunity to display how brilliant they are because there's so many roadblocks from people with limited mindsets in their way. This is why I charge through. This is why hopefully I've been an example for some people who said I wasn't supposed to make it, that the way I wanted to do things isn't the right way to do it. I don't care what nobody say. If y'all ever learn anything about me, I got a way of thinking that I absolutely love, that I trust, and that I know is bigger than me. I didn't grant myself. This is just the way that my life has been set up and the consumption and regurgitation that goes into the way I move around. So I trust it. Yeah, social, and it at some points it will make you think you crazy because you like, yo, I know I got this. So it makes you so what I learned to do was, hey, I'm gonna excel at the way that you wanted me to do it, but then I'm also gonna show you the way I like to do it. So go ahead. Come on, let's run it. Let's run it up. I got the time, I got the effort, and I definitely got the determination to do it. I want to make you look stupid. So I'm gonna do it. What do they say when you've learned and excelled at it their way, but you also have another way of doing it? They can't do anything but succumb to the fact that you're brighter than most of the people that are there. And you would hope that your parents would have seen that in you and championed that so that they would support you when these other people call you crazy. I know some of you grew up feeling unsupported by your parents when your perspective was on the line. I know your parents did what most parents do and say, hey, just do it how they said do it. Just go with the flow. Don't stir up nothing. Don't cause no problems. That's a hard existence. That's a hard existence. And you really have to be determined. Yep. Their tuition is paid and we struggle to pay out of pocket for daughters, and then they go back to their country with so that's the other part. America always is showing you how much they devalue us in this community. They give out scholarships and opportunities left and right to every nationality. And more, I'll go even further than that. They train the militaries of all these other countries and then complain when it's used against us. What do you think they're going to do? They're loyal to their country. They're not loyal to us. The professors would get so upset. Nigerians do math differently, but arrive to the same answer. That's right, because listen, our minds are calculators. And they're always solving problems. It's the way that we solve the problem that makes us unique. If everybody solved problems the same way, and we kind of court-martial those who thought differently, how do we expand? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's masters. It's one of those things you have to step outside of the box. Life is differently outside the box. And I can tell you, without traveling, it's hard for y'all to get outside the box. I could be honest with you. One of the greatest things that my parents ever did was just travel a lot. My dad was in the military, so I saw a lot. So guess what I had to do? I had to learn to adapt to the environments more often than most people. I had to learn how to communicate with the new community that I was placed in. I had to assess it faster than most people. What up, enough? I had to do so many different things to adapt and grow and to excel, because you can't travel that much and go to these different places and be an idiot. You'll be alone and sick. You know what I mean? And the answer for most, you would think, homeschooling works better in two-parent households. One person to go earn, the other person to go teach. That's how it will work. But we already know, Tuffy, there's a shortage of two-parent households in the Black community. So we can't homeschool as often and as readily as our counterparts. I think homeschool is a brilliant idea. I think you create geniuses because you allow them to move into the way that they need to go. The old America worked, bro. He said the old America worked. And that's why I fight sometimes with people to say all this advancement didn't do as much for us as it has done for other people, because they held on to the old ways. There are more coupled up families in other ethnicity groups than ours. So the trick was to give us access, to navigate us, to break up the very foundation that they continuously use. It's one of the 48 laws of power. I hope y'all understand that. One of them is ridicule you for what you're doing and then turn around and do it ourselves. Y'all, if y'all don't wake up, y'all got to get that book as well. Now, let me tell you, it's a very evil book. It's not the kind of book that you want to have on your nightstand and then that you want to read it and understand it. Excuse me. You want to read it so that you know some of the ploys and plots that are being used against you. It's a manual for you to learn how to navigate. That's right. The old America dad made the money and took care of his family. Exactly. Thank you, you guys. It's important that we restore some of those values that worked. It's like we threw them all out. It's like y'all hear me say this quite often when I talk about matters of past, present, and future. When I'm talking about past, present, and future, the one thing that I want y'all to realize is that they're preying on your short-term memory. They're praying that you'll forget. They're praying that you'll disregard. And they are right for the most part, because now we don't have those historic things that used to be in your face. You know what? A lot of y'all break up and y'all don't even know why y'all break up and get out of these relationships, because all of the memories that you have are on your phone. They're not in your face. They're not in a space where when you walk into the apartment, you can look and you can see, oh man, yeah, I remember when we did that. I remember when we did that. When your experiences is what makes you hold on to one another. It makes you cling to one another, whether y'all know it or not. That's why you have to create a bunch of experiences. But if you got your phone in your hand, your experiences become individualistic. You're at an event, one person ain't got no phone up and you got your phone up. Now y'all both doing two different things at the same thing. So y'all sharing the same space, but a different existence. The same space, but a different existence. The experience that we're supposed to be sharing together is no longer the same experience. We're in the same building, but we ain't vibing the same way. So we can't connect. We can't take that experience and build off of it. We can't say, yo, remember when we was that? Yeah, I remember because you was rocking like this and I was rocking with you. You can't do that. Those are foundational things. Having those pictures of y'all in y'all house somewhere y'all can see it. That's foundational. You know how hard it is to walk away from somebody who you've had amazing experiences with and that they're stamped in your head because you see all this stuff around you? Tuffy said that's because they printed more money and wanted everyone to get more taxes. Listen, your experiences are what make you fall deeper in love with somebody. Your experiences make you fall in love with somebody. What keeps you falling in love with them over and over again is the remnants of it left behind. The remnants of a successful experience are the photos that you post around your house. You can't run from it. If I tell you manifestation happens from posting something in your house and you see it every day, why is it manifestation for the success of your relationship done the same way? You go in most houses where there's a two-parent family or whatnot, and you see memories all through that house. Because they understand when they look at it, the nostalgia of it keeps them closer. It pulls them closer. But you can't do it because your phone harbors all those things. Your phone has all your memories trapped in it. Should your phone break, you would have a lifetime of memories screwed up. Or your computer has them. I know mine does. I know I got so many gigs of photos and all this kind of stuff that are trapped on my computer instead of somewhere where we can see it. And that's exactly right, Tuffy. Family values are down the drain and are forgotten and are not repeated because they're not seen openly. They're not practiced. They're not supported. Why two people gonna stay together when they don't see themselves together in all their stuff? When they walk into the dining room, they don't see remnants of them eating there or spending time there or family gatherings. Come on, man. It's necessary. Yeah, it's necessary that you have remnants of the amazing times of your life sprinkled throughout your house. Period. On the nightstand. Where are the pictures at that if you got kids and you got extended family that when they come in, they see, you know, you go in somebody's house and you see all them pictures, you be like, man, I can feel the love in this joint. I can feel all the love from the past and the present that y'all had. Y'all really loved each other. Sheesh. And then you can see other homes that have the scarcity of those things that's like, yo, did y'all love each other? Because all I see is wedding pictures. I don't see any special times after that. Did y'all just stop doing special stuff? Where are the other photos where y'all are at the park? Where are the other photos where y'all are traveling? What up, Olivia? Where are those photos at? Where are those things that you can cling to? Where are those things at? So we got some things to do. Some of them are already part of the blueprint. We just ain't practicing the blueprint. Some of it is stuff we already know to do. We just ain't doing it. Once you do that, listen, the reason why these kids are so quick to turn a gun on each other and all that is because they don't have the memories that most kids have of when they played as kids, when they loved each other, when they was naive to all that gunplay and all that stuff. All that's necessary, especially during gatherings. Trini, those family videos need to come out when y'all got family gatherings. They need to say, oh, I remember that. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. But the kids don't have anything to look at to say, yo, man, Lil James, I grew up with you, man. Why we fighting, bro? I've known your family since I was 4. What are we doing? That's exactly what we're saying, Olivia, is that nowadays more people keep their memories trapped in their phones or on their computer and their digital. What up, DJ Dub? Instead of having your house should be outfitted with amazing adventures. The times that you had, you need to be able to nostalgically look at those things and it should take you back. You should get lost in some of those photos. You should walk through your house and then just stop and be like, man, I remember that. Bae, come look at this. Bae, you remember this? Yeah, man, I remember this. It was crazy too. And there's usually a story that goes along with every pic. Yeah, that our parents typically do, Sonny. Like our parents got it figured out. They will have because they need it. They understand how special it is because those that are older than us really understand how time is fleeting and that all you have are the memories of those good times. That's it. All you have is that. That's dope. And that shows the growth as y'all do that year after year. You show, little Tommy now is grown Tommy, and you can play those back and they can see the nostalgia of their life. The nostalgia is missing, and it's been stripped from you in every way, shape, or form in the advancement of America. The music don't hit the same, do it? How many of y'all gonna be playing today's music, the stuff that's playing on the radio now? How many of y'all listen? Matter of fact. Name me a song that came out in 2020 that's getting constant airplay on your player right now. What song came out in 2020 that you are listening to regularly? Anybody? I'll go back. Let's go to 2021. Anybody listening to anything that came out in 2021? Anybody listening to any music that came out in 2021? Just curious. I can tell you right now that the nostalgia of the music is missing. And that's purposeful. Like there's a reason for that. That's purposely, not purposeful, but that's purposely done. Yeah, you have to do that. You got to have that. It's always the 80s, ain't it, Sonny? 80s, 90s music. People love that music. The other night, I told y'all, they played R. Kelly and the whole place erupted because it was taken away at one point. Everybody boycotted it, but R. Kelly owns the nostalgia of the 90s. He owns it. He owns 20 years of consistently showing up and giving you the soundtrack to your life. Now, what he did on his personal life, people are charging his creative life with that same indictment, and I can't do it. I'm sorry. Y'all can feel how y'all want to feel about me. The man was a genius when it came to musically creating for himself and others. The king of pop employed him to work with him. I can't front on R. Kelly and his creativity. Now, y'all can do what y'all want with what he did personally, but I can't turn my back on that. Music was ridiculously dope. Sorry. Nobody wants to have that conversation because it's okay to assassinate a black man in the United States. It's okay to do that. Now we know R. Kelly did some heinous things, but his perpetrators, those people who told on him or whatever, they should have been a part of the indictment. They weren't. That disgusts the hell out of me. The fact that those people who accused him were also getting paid and paid by him in the whole nine, that disgusts me. The fact that they championed it and these young girls got hurt, that disgusts me. And what disgusts me even more is that when R. Kelly can go to prison for not rape, let's keep this clear. He did not rape anybody. These were all consenting, people. No matter what their age was, they knew what they were doing and what they were getting in. I don't think he coerced anybody. I think his fame might have played a role in it. But I don't hate him as much for that as I hate the kid that was found raping the girl on the campus of the college who got 6 months on tether because the judge said that sending him to prison would ruin his future. So I understand the climate of the place that we're in. I understand that we can't get justice. He was found, Olivia, still raping this girl and got 6 months because the judge said he did not want him, that it would affect his future negatively. Prison does that. It's supposed to do that. No. We know, Sonny. That's one of the things that is on the table for a conversation, because there's a huge disparity in the way not only law enforcement but the justice system handles similar cases with disparaging outcomes. Me and a person my age and a person who looks like me can be the same height and everything. Can be me and a white guy could walk down the street, both of us carrying a gun in open sight. I'll have to get on the floor. They'll tell him to move away from me and handle him differently. There are a couple examples of that where people did that on TV to show you the difference in how people handle us and how there's clear messaging in it. Yep, Harvey Weinstein has a movie coming out before he's ever sentenced to go to jail. How about that? Y'all seen that, right? He got a movie coming out in November. Nah, Sonny, I know you. I already know, Sonny, that you're empathetic and that your heart, you know what I'm saying, is with us. I already know that. Like, there's no question about that. Like, I absolutely know. Like, one thing that we can all ascertain from you being in our lives and hanging out, that, you know what I'm saying, that if you could change things, if you solely by yourself could snap your finger and change things, that you would. But we understand the reality of the situation is that not only do we need advocates like yourself, but we need more people to stand in the fold and say, listen, we got to do something a little bit differently. It should be illegal on the judge's part, Faith. But again, we've elected these people to the Supreme Court and other places who have absolute authority and are indemnified for the repercussions. That's why the movie The Purge comes to mind every time some of these injustices happen. That's why that comes to mind for so many people. What up, Tamika Lay? Is that people want to say, man, we need to flip this on its head. There's no way we should be under the thumb of these people the way that we are. No way. But it's the system that we were brought into, and we have never, ever stood strong enough together to negotiate a change. Why? Because you ain't got no money to make a change. That's the real, if I had to tell y'all why things aren't changed, it's because we ain't got no money. Change costs. Change costs. And we can't afford change right now. I mean, we can, but ain't nobody putting the money up. I need to put that on my Instagram. I need people to understand that change costs and nobody wants to fit the bill. Change costs, but nobody wants to foot the bill. Jeff Martin says, so what is, oh man, that comment went away too quick. Jeff, can you type it one more time? It went away. I don't know what platform he's on, because it didn't show up on my YouTube. But Jeff typed a comment. Let me see, can I get to it from this? I might be able to get to it, Jeff. Hold on one second. He made a comment that I think I wanted to respond to, but it came and went too quick. Yeah, I saw that, the purge in Chicago. But see, it's different, right? You're gonna have a couple Wild Wild West cats out there, or whatnot. We know that, right? But ultimately, ultimately, I don't. And this is gonna sound crazy as well. I think that there are gonna be sacrifices in order to get things back to how they should go. Yep. My boy Seymour on Facebook said Brett Favre has been invisible after all he stole from Mississippi College. Nobody talking about that, and that is a true statement. Like and this is where there's this huge disparity in the conversation between our counterparts. But we can't afford to make the change. We can't afford to put a dog in the fight. And we're showing it every time we let down these people like Kanye and these people like Kyrie and these people like Kaepernick. We show it every time. Those of us that have accumulated much do the least. Those who have accumulated the most do the least. Change is only going to happen when we acquire enough wealth and enough money to make a difference. He stole from Mississippi welfare recipients. Yep. And you don't see Brett Favre on the. Jason Williams tried to bring it up too. That's why I'm a new fan of Jason Williams. He really brought it up. He's like, why are we talking about Kyrie, but nobody's talking about Brett Favre? Well, I don't ask that question because the writing is on the wall. Like, I can't ask the question where I know what the answer is and has always been. And if we don't get no money and no power, it will always be that way. And you say to yourself, listen, I would tell every athlete, if there was a conversation where I got to sit down at all the black athletes that are playing sports, I would say, listen, man, you all, if you're going to be in Kansas and you're going to be playing for a while, why don't you all buy a whole bunch of land and build your houses there? And should you get traded and have to go to another area, hopefully that team and those black players did the same thing there, and you can just switch houses or buy a house in that area. But until they start buying plots and lots of land and accept the redlining, and when I say that, I mean, I am such a proponent of using someone's leverage against them. Oh, you want to redline us? You want to redline my community? Okay, let me redline it for you. And I'm a redline it because I've acquired wealth, and I'm going to redline it in the area that I want to. I'm going to redline it over here where there's lakes over here, and that the forestry is great and that it's beautiful. It may be away from the city a little bit, but this is going to be an area that I create for the community that I want to support. That's easy to do. That's how you build infrastructure. And then once you say that, you know what? I'm going to build this 120 home area, and in and around it, I'm going to put a black-owned grocery store. I'm going to put a black-owned tailor and dry cleaners. I'm going to put a black, I'm going to surround it with the ability for the black dollar to circulate within my area where I don't have to go far to get it. It used to be like that. When I moved to Flint, Michigan, it was like that. When that's if you wanted to be Democratic, Seymour. When I moved to Flint, my cousin reminded me, he said, listen, everything was in walking distance for the black family when Flint, Michigan started up. Everything was available. You put a school, and not a public school. You have a school that's exclusive to the neighborhood that's being built. Why would you do that? Why would you make a school that's specifically for that community? Because there's an education that is missing from this public education that exists. There's a conversation that's missing that is making it challenging. Most of us don't learn the things that we need to learn about our culture until we're 16 and above, while others are practicing their culture daily. What should we be teaching these kids? Well, they should learn French and a couple other languages that are that should they go back to Africa, they can communicate with the land that they're most synonymous with. They should learn the history of not only America, but the world history and their involvement and our ancestors' involvement in it. From the true narrative that's there, from the true truth, not one that's made up to cover up certain things. I guarantee y'all right now, if y'all ever look at a social studies book, that you're going to be appalled at what's been left out and what's being written about and the form and fashion that is being written about, because it is not inclusive of what really happened. If they are willing to go and say publicly, we want to take out the history that was history. Do you understand that history was what it was, and there's only one truth to history, and that's the true history, and it should be told whether people like it or not. It should be told whether people like it or not. It should be told whether people like it or not. Your history of who you are as an individual can't be rewritten. You may have omitted some things and whatnot, but the truth is, it is what it is. What happened, happened, and you can't wipe that off you. And the fact that it's being talked about publicly now is the reason why Kyrie and Kanye are facing the kind of feedback that they're getting. The fact that we're not together, Trini, allows them to ebb and flow between it. Right now, this is us and the information, and they're able to go right through it. They're able to do that. But if we did this, you can't get through that. You got to deal with this. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with this. And the reason why, if they don't use books anymore, the reason why they omitted using books, Cabbage, because it's easier to rewrite the truth when it's not on paper. I can walk up out of this live right now. I can do the biggest mic drop right now. I can just walk up out of this room. The reason why they brought technology into the picture is because one of the greatest forms of communication that we had is your pen to paper. One of the greatest communication tools that we had was writing things down, because it can't be manipulated without evidence that it was manipulated. Crazy, right? When you think about it. We stopped doing a lot of writing. Let me see something. Letitia says on YouTube, crazy. We moved here 7 years ago, got acquainted with the old man at the bus stop, and had been on his land for like 70 years and was farming it. He sold it to a buyer there, and now the land that he sold them, the houses are worth $2.5 million. That is a fact. TikTok teaches their children at the age of 3 to use it to learn math, then sold it to America to use it, the ignorance, to showcase their stupidity and making millions off of us. True story. They straight gypped him out of land for nothing. He literally lives in an apartment, not much further. Y'all got to understand that what we create, they multiply. What we create, others multiply. What we create, others multiply. And to Gus's point, it's the reason why when I got on TikTok, I knew, I'm not going to be coming up with no TikTok dances. You know, I know I'm not going to be doing no pranks and no crazy stuff on here. I will prank a little bit, but not that crazy, super crazy stuff. And then it dawned on me that this is the perfect vehicle to communicate and educate the perspectives that are missing in the conversation globally. There's a conversation that needs to be had that isn't being had, that's being closed up. And health and wellness is a huge part of that. A healthy mind and body, you know what I'm saying, will allow you to see things clearly enough to change things and adjust things. So that's what we communicate about here. But we also, y'all see that we've gone from yogurt and grains, and we've gone into the meat and potatoes of things, haven't we? We're off in the deep end now. We're in the part that really matters. And the changes that we need to make, they're not difficult, but they have to be made collectively. And usually an event like the way that we're watching Kyrie and Kanye get attacked, I know people are looking like this is horrible, but I think this is amazing. Amazing. Books you should get: Undeniable by Dante Fortson. Y'all write that down. Undeniable by Dante Fortson. But I think it's amazing because it's highlighting publicly, what up, Jacob? It's highlighting some things that we need to take notice of and begin building on. If, for instance, and I have yet to post about this, but Adidas says now we're going to resell Kanye West's shoes, the Yeezys, but we're going to take the Yeezy off of it. And they went further to say that they actually owe him, if they sell anything, he will still receive money. But then they went down and said, no, he's not going to receive any money, because this is how they try to break these contracts. They say he was being anti-Semitic and bigoted. But he can't be those things if he believes that he is of the people. So it's going to be interesting. And I have a perspective on that. Adidas, you must be out your rabbit ass mind if you think anybody's going to support you, especially toward his contribution. You lose Kanye, you lose the people. We finna show you. You can't remove the creator who influenced us. We only bought him because Yeezy was rocking them, and he made us rock them. What he did, the culture was like, yo, these Yeezys, this fly. I told myself I wasn't gonna buy none at one point. I promise you, I said that. And then I tried them on, and I was like, yo. And here's the thing, when it's things like that where someone who looks like us creates something that becomes culturally dope, I don't know why people think that they can remove the very essence that made people get into it and keep it going. I don't know why would anybody in their right mind? I think for me, it's painful because it shows me what they truly think about us and how we support each other. I am not going to allow us to support that ignorant narrative. I'm going to fight. I'm going to communicate on every level. No one should be caught wearing Unyeezys. That's what I'm going to call them. Unyeezys. These ain't Yeezys. These is Unyeezys. There's nothing Yeezy-like about them. You should not be caught wearing Unyeezys. Ha! Trini said, also read the book When the World Was Black, Part 1 and 2 by Supreme Understanding. Already, that's on fire. Shoot. I think there's a conversation that needs to be had amongst us and as a community as to how we ideally, I don't know if anybody's had this conversation on a national stage and say, what does the end of the game look like in terms of these issues? And what it is they keep these issues in front of you like this so you can't see clearly. But if you remove the issues, now you can really see what needs to happen. And people don't want all this adjusting. Oh, man, y'all want to do too much. Y'all want to do too much. But we haven't done enough. We can't, because we can't get the bull crap out of our face. And when we're trying to get it out of our face, what do? They deflect. You say, let's move that. And they say, no, let's leave that right there, but let's talk about this over there. They Came Before Columbus by Ivan. You got to make a list, Trini. Make a list of books to read and then put it on your post. And then I'll retweet it and reshare it, but put it out as a post. But every time, and y'all have seen this, if y'all ever join me in these lives again with the trans community and with the Jewish community, every time that logic wants to make itself known, when just simple logic wants to be brought into the situation, there's a huge urge and manual, I want to say, where they deflect. They don't want to talk about Black people's involvement with being Jewish. They rather talk about themselves as how people are talking about the Holocaust didn't happen. They rather deflect and say, you can't say that we're the fake Jews because you want to be a Jew now is the argument they were having in that other room. And I'm like, no, nobody called you fake. Although there may be some historical context to that I haven't read about, I choose not to call anybody not what they say they are. You are what you say or you are until it's proven wrong. But how are you going to sit up here and say that? How are you going to continue to not include Africans and African Americans when you start rolling back the layers on the truth? When the truth is present, the logic should be easy. Why would people do the most stupidest and maniacal thing and not make logic be what it is? Logic makes sense. It's the ignorance around when people try to change the narrative that makes it not make sense, and that's not acceptable. And that's why we're dealing with this. Like, if y'all understand, I really want y'all to do your homework. I really want y'all to look up Age of Aquarius. And what y'all understand is that it's like a 2,000-year period for each of these ages to go through. And we just happen to be in the one of truth and knowledge. This is no coincidence that we're becoming more conscious, that we're becoming more fired up, that we're becoming more lit. That's not an accident. It's the time of our lives. This is the times of our lives. How are you going to spend your time? Will you spend it learning so you can defend your birthright? Will you spend it learning and educating yourselves so that you can teach others? So that you can help clear the way so that we can see clear? How are you going to spend your time? You gotta one of the limited resources we have is our time, but not even just that. Most of the people in this live right now are able-bodied people. Most of you are in your right mind and you have a great outlook and perspective on life. You can't keep that to yourself. You owe it to not only the people that are around you, but to those who are going to come after you. And the sooner you start disseminating that information, the younger they get and the quicker they learn and the faster the changes happen at an earlier time for them. We should not be playing shoulda, woulda, coulda with these kids. We shouldn't even do that. We don't even have to do that, Gus. Gus said Jesus was a Jew and he showed us this wherever he went. God said we are made in his image. We don't ever have to discuss that, if God was black and all that kind of stuff. Like that's so not even news anymore. You know what I'm saying? Just based off of the region where he was, you had to have melanated skin to protect yourself. And that's just that. Like, we don't have to get into that conversation. That's the logic that doesn't have to take place. But people are adjusting things in small increments to fit the narrative that they want in order for them to feel as though they're so the bigger argument is them talking about who's the chosen people and whatnot. And as you go through the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, and whatnot, it outlines those oppressed people who will come to glory, those oppressed people who will come through this better than they went through it. And people are afraid of the honesty of it coming back, and people don't want to face the music. People don't want to face the music of the investments that they made historically. Most of us aren't responsible. None of us are responsible for what happened thousands of years ago. None of us have a say in that. We just are who we are as a result of it. So the debate that people are having, the commission has already been sent down. I don't know why people are arguing. You listen, right is right. You ain't never got to argue about right. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to convince people of our right. When I'm like, look, this is it. This is the logic, man. I ain't got to convince you of nothing. Either you gonna figure it out, or you're gonna be screwed because you didn't. If I tell you, listen, the way out is down the hallway and to the left, and you want to fight me on the hallway exit being down there to the left, all right, see you on the other side, bro. I'm gonna go down the way I said, and I'm gonna be out of here. And you can stick around and do it whichever way you want to do. And yeah, you're exactly right, Gus. We do have a say in where we go from here. And that's why I say, typically, we as a people don't move until there's something exciting going on. We don't move until we see some action happening. Y'all know there was months and almost years, well, I'll say months, in between anybody having anything socially to do. The George Floyd thing was probably the biggest social dumbest experiment ever that collectively we failed at because we wasn't even the driving force behind that fiasco. And then we had this situation pop up with Kanye West. And here's the thing. Kanye West, y'all want to know why Kanye West gets along with Donald Trump so well? Because they're both from the school of regurgitation. They both consume information and regurgitate it without tasting what they consumed, without being able to tell you the ingredients of what they consumed. And that's the only challenge. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Letitia. And it's not common for you, you know what I'm saying? I'll tell you, I'll never argue with a fool. He'll bring you down to his level and beat you to death because he's been the fool longer than you have. But that's why I believe Kanye and him get along. And Trini said, and they're Geminis too. I think they get along because of that trait alone. Like it comes off as fearless sometimes. I say, yeah, it's fearless, but I also say it's reckless to some degree because both of them need a right hand. Y'all heard me say this before. They need somebody who can make sense of the nonsense so that the world can't get a hold of it and flip it on its head and then devalue it all. We all were witness to so many things that Trump said that just were so open-ended that the media was able to make its own narrative. We've been witness to Kanye West saying certain things and not knowing enough about it that the media could pick it apart and then devalue it. That's what they want to have happen on all costs. And that's why when people say, well, why you ain't went viral yet, or why you ain't this and that, because they can't have a person who can actually communicate properly the value that's in the conversation. They can't sit across the table from somebody like that. They can't have that conversation. They can't have somebody who's already thought of the consequences and the end game and thought about who treats the conversation somewhat like a chess game. They can't do that. Donald Trump and Kanye are playing checkers for the most part. They know where the pieces are going, and if you show them the move, they can hop it and they can get through. But the conversation that has to happen with these people is more of a chess game because they're trying to anticipate where you're going. Like what I noticed, that if y'all were in the room earlier, they kept trying to tell me what I'm thinking. I'm like, yo, I'm right here. You don't have to guess, or you don't have to distort my conversation. The young lady kept trying to say, but you're upset because I said, I'm not upset. I said, why would I be upset? Oh, I'm not saying you're upset, but you're upset. She kept saying, I'm like, yo, you do hear yourself repeating yourself. I'm not upset. I'm not a person who gets upset at facts. I don't get upset at immovable objects. That makes no sense to me. It is what it is. I can't change it. I have the serenity to know the difference. I'm cool with that. So stop trying to say I'm being one way when it's actually you who seems to be showing and displaying frustration and being upset. And that's kind of how they deflect. They try to change the narrative. She wanted the conversation then to be about something totally different. When I told her about the situation, because she asked if did I think that the entertainment business was run by a lot of Jewish people, and I said absolutely. I'm in the music industry. I can tell you that there have been many times that the attorneys I wanted to use, that the label heads I was signing to, and just about every check I've ever gotten has a signature on it. You know what I mean? So those power plays and positions that they're in, absolutely. And then I gave her some examples. I said, have you ever, and she said she wanted to bring up the example, why would I diminish black record labels by saying that they need a Jewish counterpart in order to make it work? And then she went on the silly side of it and said, what about Russell Simmons? And I'm like, yo, you do know who his partner is, right? Like, how are you going to bring up, but I know his partner is Jewish, but why would you not even just say that Russell Simmons could do it? I said, because he can't do it by himself. That's the prime example of it that you just gave. And I went in further. I said, you would have had to have seen the movie The Banker to understand where I'm coming from. They gave you a clear and explicit look at how they had the wealth, the mindset, and everything to run their own bank, but the powers that be would not accept them in the position that they were in, so they had to get a white front man in order to do what they wanted to do. Then I took them down even further. I said, listen, if we're going to go down this music industry thing, have you ever heard of a movie called Cadillac Records? It's a prime example of what we're talking about. the relationships that are forged out there. She was like, why don't, black entertainers do their own record labels and all that? I said they can do it to a degree, but they can't do it on a national level and with the success rate that, the Jewish community has. And they went off, oh, Jewish people shouldn't be upset that they're making money and da-da-da. I said, you missed the point. Is that the relationships that they have forged blocks out anybody else who wants to make those relationships to be successful. The only way, and in her defense, the only way that it can happen is we have to build our own infrastructure, Marley Marl, meaning it's just like the alcohol industry. The alcohol industry didn't have a problem until black people started making their own liquor and distributing it their own way. Before that, when we didn't have a way to distribute it, it wasn't an issue. So Marley, again, you missed the example earlier. What you're saying now, Marley say, do it now. You got billions now. Even with the billions that we have, it's like starting the race 100 yards behind everybody else. So the pathway has already been made, and it's already given access and permission to only certain people. There have been times where people like Master P have tried to extend the extent of his millions and billions on his record label and got met with, hey, you got to get in bed with us. You got to do this with us. You can only go so far. And that's what we're doing, Marley Marl. That's the conversation at this point. And I think that Kanye and Kyrie are going to be the catalyst for that. I've already said what I think should happen in terms of how we get there. That's the solution-based mindset that we have to have, is the infrastructure has to be built. If you look at my last story, it says, matter of fact, you ain't got to look at it. I can show it to you. My last story says this right here. This was my last story on my page, just so y'all understand. This was the last story I put up right here, one of them. It says, build. Build. You see that? It says, build. I said, are you down? Right now, 100% of the people who've seen it said yes. And it says, you can help, but know that this is ours, that we have to build. But it's with education. Education and then the doers. You said it right, bro. We got millions and billions right now, but who's going to front the tab? We said this. Who's going to front the bill? And I don't know why, for some reason, each one of them, I've spoken to a lot of millionaires and billionaires. I got a few of them that are friends of mine. And their conversation, for some reason, they feel like they got to do the heavy lifting on their own. They don't feel like, and then, the display that we see Kanye West out here with his neck hanging out, ready to get chopped off. We see Kyrie with his neck being ready to get chopped off. And then you have those who should be aligning themselves with him. You haven't heard nobody from the music industry speak out on his behalf. You haven't heard anybody speak out on Kyrie's behalf except negatively. So now we're in a conundrum because we have those people who could come to their aid or assist them undermining them in the public eye. So what does that make us look like as a collective? It makes us look weak. And we as a community of people join right in. I heard comments. I was on a Clubhouse stage, and these fools was like, Kanye West get what he get. He the one said all this, da-da-da-da. I'm thinking to myself, like, really? Is that where you're going? Is that where you're going? Yeah, and listen, they can't do the heavy lifting by themselves either. Not completely. Now, Marley, I understand that we have a problem with doing this. We have a problem with dismissing somebody completely for a partial lack of clarity. I don't agree with that. I can't kill the whole message because one of the sentences was misspelled. I can't do that. And I don't want to allow other people to do it. Yeah, Kanye West said, if we know who Kanye West is, we know, I said this earlier, Kanye West will regurgitate some things without knowing the fullness of the information. And in that, people like to label him crazy. But if you break down, if you bust it down and you couple that Kanye West conversation with a conversation like mine or somebody else, then you're able to, and you have to be. What are you saying? There's not an entertainer who isn't. Who in the music or film or any kind of entertainment isn't manipulative? Everybody wants you to believe what they're saying. And I can't say, listen, and I hear the conversation when people say Kanye West is for himself. I'm not I'm not from the school of his individualistic approach can't benefit the whole. It absolutely can. His individualistic approach is fine, but if you're savvy, if you're the people, you know how to leverage that. You know what I'm saying? You know how to leverage that position. That's all I'm saying. Most people don't, they omit the fact that they agree with some of it. You don't talk about the points that you agree with them on. Most people just talk about whatever that outland, they talk about DEFCON 3. That's all the Jewish community wants to talk about now, is how he said what most people feel when they feel wronged. No, you don't. You need a wild card like him. You need that buck wild conversation so he can really blow things up. But you need people like myself and Kyrie and other people, Ben X and Farrakhan and some other people who can speak and then put it all in perspective. Yeah, he gonna make a mess. I ain't mad at that. But you got to have people there to clean it up. Now, if he had a running mate or somebody with him, he wouldn't make such a big of a mess. And like you said, to your point, he becomes more stable in the conversation. But we understand that when you're angry, y'all got to remember that this man was angry when he made these statements. Tell me this, Marley Marl, if you was in a situation and you was driving your car, you was doing everything right, a cop pull you over, and then they harass you, they choke you up, they put you in handcuffs and do all this stuff, and then let you go, ain't you gonna say, man, I fucking want to knock somebody, I want to knock one of these cops' heads right off their head. I want to do something crazy to a cop. Wouldn't you say that? That's what I liken to this situation. He was communicating from an uptight position about the people who are over and controlling him. Well, she's got her own agenda in the mix of all this. And so maybe that wasn't the right conversationalist to have him aligned with. But nonetheless, I can't admonish his foolish language, because guess what it did? It's waking people up. It's got people saying, what? For real? And in conjunction with that, you got the community that's against him moving recklessly. Listen, Kanye West's conversation has exploited the community that's coming after him. They went after Kyrie Irving for a retweet. Not a statement. He didn't say how he felt. He didn't say what was on his mind. They went after Kyrie Irving for the fear of the truth that was in that document. But you need them both. Without Kanye, there is no Kyrie. You know that, right? Without Kanye's outburst, there is no Kyrie. Without Kanye's outburst and his outlandishness, you don't see the real reserve and the real way that things should be handled from Kyrie. We're talking two different dynamics over the same subject matter. You can't have you can't. No, he's not. It's not a distraction, bro. I promise you. For every yin, there's a yang, and they're both necessary. You can't appreciate the rain. You can't appreciate the sun for the rain. So we needed Kanye to blow things up. Without Kanye saying what he's saying, nobody would think anything of what Kyrie did. They'd just be like, whatever. I'm not dying. Listen, I'm not that invested into what Kanye West's ulterior motives may be. I'm just telling you, as a group of people, how you have to consume that message and that attempt at whatever he's trying to do. It has now woken a sleeping giant. None of us cared about that stuff until, listen, this conversation has been going on since Malcolm X. He told Ego, he said, Sway, you didn't have the answers. And then he went back and said, Sway, you had the right answers. There's some humility there that you got to talk about. You got to go it on both hands. He came back and you know the kind of humility it takes for somebody to say, man, I was wrong and you were right. So I look at it again. We choose to see things from two different perspectives. My perspective is going out for me, and I think the perspective that I look at things from is going to help us build and grow. Because that's the only way we can go from a situation like this. I will not hold him. I'll hold him as accountable for his statements as every other community holds their people accountable for their actions. How about that? How about we trade that off? How about Kanye West's conversation is not half as bad as the actions of the people who are accusing him? So people label people genius for several reasons. Of course, we gave him one with the genius clause because creatively he's dope as I don't know what. His story is genius. This guy decided to rap through his mouth being wired as his first offering into the music industry. Who does that but somebody who is courageous and is a lunatic at the same time? That's the mark of a genius. Somebody who's crazy enough to do the things that others won't do. What are we saying? It's not just because he has money. He thinks differently. He thinks differently, and he publicly is open for the ridicule, but he accomplishes the things that he goes after. It's a thought, it's a mindset, bro. It's a mindset that makes people geniuses. It's knowing that you don't think like I could tell you sometimes I looked at myself and I said, man, maybe you're a genius or something because nobody thinks like you do. But I would never tell myself that. I would never say that shit publicly. I'd just be like, yo, I just be on some other shit. You know what I mean? I just be on some other shit. Genius is when genius has a whole bunch of levels to it, right? Inventingness is one. And he may very well be, listen, nobody said that you can only be one thing, bro. Shit, you could be a narcissist and a genius at the same time. You could be all that. You could be all of that. No, none of us are singularly layered. We're all multi-layered. You ain't just what you are, Marley. You a bunch of different things. So in that conversation, I don't. Tuffy said, "I'm out, y'all. I'll catch y'all later." All right, Tuffy. But there are things about the way people manage themselves, and this isn't just let me see. What is it? Let me break this down real quick. Clay changed the name, but he's not winning because he broke. No. Kanye does things abruptly to get attention. Whether it's wrong or not, he must be. I'm not saying that everything that Kanye West does is warranted or merited, but there are things that he blamed black people not supporting him. Again, that's a system. He said, never mind, I'm back. That's a systemic thing that he's talking about, though. Like, again, if y'all can't see these cries of help and the thing that he's talking about, he's saying that, listen, we are in an upside down reality here in the United States as black people. Nothing about any of the systems that have been in place for 30 to 40 years I can't get into that because, listen, bro, every chick out there has been mostly, I can't say every, a majority of chicks out in this world, Marley Marl, have been somebody's jump off, bro. What are we saying? Very seldom are any of us marrying a girl who's never been touched. She been a jump off for somebody. I just don't jump into those narratives, Marley. I don't talk about stuff like that because that's not the place to this. You know what I'm saying? I don't get into that narrative. He may very well want to be accepted, but by who? Who do you think he wants to be accepted by? If we're talking about acceptance, who is Kanye West looking for acceptance from? Marley, I'm curious as to know who he wants to be accepted by. He said, I'm that world. I don't know what that means. The powers that be. Okay. Why would somebody like him want to be accepted by the powers that be? They didn't. And now he mad. He's mad because they didn't accept him. Is that what you're saying? If I wanted to go off, if it wasn't about, listen, if I wanted to go off on a real tangent, right, I would say the cost of the success, right? The cost of the success at the level that he's in requires some initiation into a group of elitists that are out there. That group of elitists require certain sacrifices and commitments. I did kind of mumble this statement, but I said it. There's a commitment. It's not about money. It is about access. When you get to a certain level in the music or entertainment industry and a certain level of influence, just like they're showing Kyrie, is that we pay you all this money. We don't pay you to be an activist. We don't pay you to influence anybody to do anything different. And when you do that, you step outside the lines of what power we do give you. The fact that Kanye West is speaking out is not in alignment with those people who truly have power. Wouldn't you be upset? You've sacrificed maybe, a loved one for this access. Or they've taken a loved one from you because for this access. You've sacrificed all these things behind closed doors for this certain level of access. And then when you see that kind of access, you say that exactly. That's all I'm saying. He's gone off the program. And we've seen this before. You saw this with, you've heard this and you've seen this. Michael Jackson spoke on this. Martin Lawrence talked about it. Cat Williams talked about it. Dave Chappelle took a hiatus because of it. It's a real thing. Well, he made it political because he aligned himself. And this is what I'll tell you. Knowledge is a mug. Knowing too much is a beast. Knowing too much is a beast. It became political when he aligned himself with Donald Trump. Donald Trump made it known by uncertain circumstances. Yep, Ricky Williams too. Donald Trump made it known under no certain circumstances was he a politician, so he wasn't going to follow the politician's route. So now you align him with a rogue agent, so to speak, like Kanye West. If y'all don't think Donald Trump talked to Kanye West about that, the inner conversations that none of us are supposed to know about and all this kind of stuff, and give him access, that wouldn't make you nutty and batshit crazy, because now you know these things and now you're like, yo, how can I make a difference? So I say that people at that next level are privy to conversations we aren't. So we can't even communicate why people are doing what they're doing. We can't fathom that this is part of a program or this is an act. We don't know. All we know is Dave Chappelle was offered this access and he denied it. He said, I'm cool, I'm out. We know that Cat Williams talked about it many times, and they tried to break him back into position. And you've seen those other entertainers who are going along with the flow and receive little admonishment for the crazy and nonsense that they do. We're about to watch a movie come out this month of a Harvey Weinstein movie, and he hasn't even been convicted yet. But the swift hand of justice has come and gone so quick on R. Kelly, it makes no sense. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't guilty, but I'm just saying people think Harvey is just as guilty. He's a clone, chap. That's funny. So with that, you know what I'm saying? I just look at it deeper, man. It's incumbent that we, the people who do have the common sense and the wherewithal to make sense of it for everybody else before they go off on their own tangent and call it and look at it as something that it isn't. That's what's happening with this Jewish community when it comes to Kyrie Irving. They've decided to take something that had no meaning out of his mouth and no statement and make it mean something else. And true enough, I totally agree that we can't let everybody drive the car. I truly believe everybody can't drive the car. I'm not making excuses as I'm making a relations for you to understand better. It's not an excuse. I'm not admonishing him for anything, but I'm helping you understand why these things happen. And if you don't couple the two of them together, you will call him crazy or dismissive. So if you believe and you understand that Kyrie Irving is completely his involvement in what they're trying to make this big scheme or whatever is wrong, then I don't know why the community, us as all the, as black people aren't screaming from the rooftop, we see you. We understand what you're doing. And now you've made yourself visible. We see loud and clear that this message, had they not, listen, understand this. If nobody said anything about the movie Kyrie tweeted, would we be talking about it right now? Like if he retweeted it and that was that. Because the black community didn't say anything. We didn't understand it. We just knew he tweeted something. We didn't say a word, nor did he. The first conversation about this movie came from the ADL in that community. Y'all do understand that. Kyrie didn't make a fuss about it. You didn't make a fuss about it. I didn't make a fuss about it. But we know who is and did make a fuss about it, and they're continuously doing it. They showed their hand right now. There's too much there is too much truth in this documentary from Hebrews to Negro for the reaction and response that he's getting. You're absolutely right, Marley. But they should be giving him back pay right now. They should be giving Kyrie back pay like the rest of the New York community that took pay cuts and got fired because they didn't take the vaccination. I wonder if we're going to hear that conversation. Yeah, I watched it. I'm still watching. It's a long documentary, bro. I'm probably like an hour and 40 minutes, 50 minutes into it. It's super duper long. And it's not the most entertaining. It's very informative. You know what I'm saying? It's very informative. And you really want to be sitting there with a notepad so you can really keep everything in perspective and in order. But there are only 2 points in the documentary that people challenge. And those are the only points they want to talk about, which is they only want to challenge the fact that he's the author is saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. And I don't think that's completely what they meant. I think they meant that the number that is being reported about it didn't, was up for discussion or whatnot. The information, the factual information about location, time, all those kind of things, those are factual. Those aren't guessing points. And the way you should know that 90% of this is factual is because of the response. Man, if Kyrie had tweeted men in black, what if he tweeted men in black? Will we be talking about this right now? No, because somebody would say he just typed in men in black. But what if men in black, honestly, you could take men in black and run with it. You could say men in black could mean 1,000 different things. That's the biggest point. But as I said in that other room with the Jewish room that I went in, the biggest problem the Jewish community have is being inclusive, because if they include the Kanye West of the world and the Kyries of the world as Semites, that means we have to go back and reevaluate everything that has happened before it. And they have to admit that they've done these injustices to their brothers and sisters. They don't want to apologize for that. They don't want to be inclusive in the wealth building that has been established on the backs of those same very people that they've earned on, but don't share the wealth with, that don't share the opportunities, that don't share the connections. It's way bigger than that. There's a lot that goes down with, and that's another reason why the United States won't do reparations. Did you know they were first trying to turn Uganda into Israel? No. I've heard a lot of conversation today. I know it's a lot. They're trying to rezone things and whatnot. But like you said, it's time to, I don't need the past as much as I need the present and the future. I don't need the past anymore. I need the here and now and beyond more than everything else. So from here, build, create infrastructure, and go from there. I don't even need everybody to unlearn, Marley. I'll be honest with you. I don't need everybody to get it. I just need people to move. I don't need everybody to understand why they move, and I just need them to move. I don't need everybody to trust. I just need you to roll with it, man. and let those who do get it move, and you support them, and know that even in your supporting without knowing what's going on, that you're including. It will, but it's that. Listen, Marley, to educate the amount of people that have to be educated is going to take a lifetime in itself. We don't have that. I don't have that. I don't got 100 years. And I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get it or want to get it like you and I, or like anybody else who wants to make a change. I can't guarantee that there are going to be people who really want the change. It's not, and I said that earlier. I said it's going to take 10, 15 years. It's not going to be overnight. But the process has to start now. And one of the greatest parts of the process is realizing that we make a difference in this world when we have money, when we pool our finances, when we have a product, or we have, right now we're the consumers. And the only thing that we can turn off is that consuming. We can turn off the consumption wheel, and that will affect economy. We can change how and where we spend that money. We can maintain being true story, but the seeds of change have to happen with. It's overdue. It started to happen with Malcolm them, but you got to remember, this is our first opportunity to break away and do it. And you're right, it's going to take some time. That was our first opportunity to break away. Our first opportunity. Like I want to, yeah, I'm glad we are, man. But we need we need tens of thousands of us. And I want people to realize that we're in the beginning of it. We are. Like, we're not 60 years removed from Malcolm X them. Like, we're just 60 years removed from the beginning of people saying, hold on, man. And in that 60-year span, they've been running game. They've been swapping up. They've been moving the yardstick. They've been changing shit up. They've been affecting our mindset by controlling us through the boob tube. That's right, the age of Aquarius. Listen, are you on my Instagram, man? Is that why you saying all this stuff? Have you been on my Instagram? Look at this one. You see this post? I don't know if you can read it. I'm going to read it to you. The post I just posted, dude, after I posted the build, when it says, what happens in the age of Aquarius? A common position expressed by many astrologers sees the age of Aquarius as that time when humanity takes control of the earth and its own destiny as its rightful heritage, with the destiny of humanity being the revelation of truth and the expansion of consciousness. Yeah, clearly, man. Clearly. You're in this live for a reason. Like, this is not by accident or by mistake. Based off of the two things that you were saying and that I had just posted those things like 2 hours ago, is crazy. But it's alignment. It's not crazy. It's alignment. So as we're in this awakening period, I imagine this is going to happen a lot more. I imagine that like minds are going to happen a whole lot more. As it should. And that's why we feel the way we feel, especially about Kyrie, more so over Kanye. But that's why we feel the way we do about Kyrie, because we've never been a people who liked injustice. He is being hung out to dry, unjustifiably so. And that I'm glad that it happened when it happened, because it is deterring the conversation away from the more recklessness of Kanye West. Everything for a reason and a season. So that I as much as they're trying to hold on to putting Kanye West out in the forefront, they already made the mistake by handing down their judgment on him. So it's not a talking point as much anymore. Now they're pulling at straws, talking about, oh, we're going to still release his shoes. We're over that. You've already handed down your judgment. We're no longer participating in the Kanye West fiasco that y'all have created. We're done with that. Exactly. So now you guys have, I saw that with LeBron trying to schmooze or whatever, but it's too late. Once you show us, the one thing about black folks, man, when you show us who you are, we believe you. That's right. And it's going to be even greater than that. And it has to maintain the veracity behind it has to maintain even past the point of them getting it and changing their minds. Thank you, Letitia. I appreciate that. That's right. They showed their hands. All of them have. But it means nothing if we're not exploiting the fact that they showed their hands. I believe the ADL and the Jewish community did the exact same thing of showing their hand as they're admonishing Kyrie Irving for something he never said. That was my other post, was I need somebody to tell me the statement that Kyrie made. He never made a statement. And so that just showed, they showed their hand as to what they perceive it to mean. Kyrie didn't say nothing. Kyrie ain't guilty. You want to point the finger at the Jewish head of Amazon Prime, of Amazon, the one that Jeff Bezos stepped down to let run it. That's why y'all can't, that's why you got to look at this stuff like, really? Like the head of Amazon allowed this to, to be put out there, and he's Jewish too? That's interesting. Because of the protective nature of the Jewish community, you would say there's no way he'd let that slip through the cracks. There's no way he would permit such a visceral attack on the Jewish community come to light. Such a mind-shifting document to be brought to. Remember, this thing came out in 2018. I know, it's now the number one. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, we there, bro. It came out in 2018, and this year, 4 years later, it's the number one documentary on Amazon, only because they tried to make an example. Oh yeah, it's like what? I mean, somebody's got it on a bit thing too. You can get it, somebody's passing it around on a bit joint. But my brother rented it twice. That just goes to show you, it's $11.99 to rent it. My brother rented it twice. Let me tell you how crazy this moment in time is. This could have happened 4 or 5 months ago, and the timing and everything that happened would be totally different. Why is this stuff coming out the week that Wakanda's about to surface? That's just one of the crazy thoughts I be having, is like the timing of events. Kyrie could have tweeted this stuff in the heat of Kanye. It's been out for 4 years. He could have tweeted it when he was in 2020. What are we saying? Like, that just goes to show y'all, like, things are lining themselves up for change. You said you had the books 1 and 2. I don't know if I'm gonna do all that reading, Trini. I'm gonna have to borrow yours. You in Atlanta too. I can just borrow yours. Stop playing. There are 2 movies. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. The first one is hard to get through. It's like 2.5, 3 hours. It's a difficult watch. But because I know what it means to us in our culture, and I need to be informed to have the conversation about it, that's the reason why I'm sticking through it. That's the reason why I'm watching it. Because I know that there's elements in it that people don't want you to know about it. And it's true. If you don't want us to, informationally and as a general note for our culture and community, we don't like to do a whole lot of reading. And that's probably one of the biggest downfalls that we have, is that the information is always put in there. Don't want to say too much on here, but it's the start of the ending of it. Yep. The ending of Pisces, the age of Pisces. And of a certain group. I get it. You're right, Marley. And we probably already said too much, bro. I know I'm on somebody's list. I know I'm on somebody's list, bro. I know somebody's saying something. And you know what I'm saying? What can you do about it now, right? Ain't no stopping. You can't stop it now. Let me see. It look like some people are trying to join the live. Oh, no, those are just people who came on. Oh, they're co-hosting. I've been invited to a couple. I'm not going to those or whatever. I see what it is. Yeah. That's why things are hidden from us, because we fail to read. You're absolutely right. Facts, but who cares? They can't stop. That's really it, Marley Marl. And I'd be remiss to think that, you know what I'm saying, like, there are going to be challenges in front of us. They're going to be, it's not going to be easy. They're going to try to do different things. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Can't worry about that stuff, right? You just hope that, and I'm sure with Kanye as well as Kyrie, that they just hope that their sacrifice means more than just whatever's happening to them right now. That's right. No doubt. And I don't think it's that. I don't think I fear anything like that. I don't think I have that kind of fear at all. I think I think if there is a fear, is that the fear would be that people aren't seeing the risk that you're taking and then saying, let me carry some of that load with you and let me join you. Let me pass me the baton, or let me run with you. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what I think all this is supposed to be. It's supposed to fire up the community of people who are supposed to be doing something. And like you said, because we're in that age of Aquarius, it should be popping. Let me see. Don't be flirting with me, girl. Let me see where you at. Man, do you know I got on here? And I was supposed to be playing music. That I'm gonna tell you how stuff work out sometime. I was gonna be helping some people with music. Yeah, no, absolutely, Marley. Absolutely. But we gotta also we have to absolutely let people understand, like, yo, he's doing something that he doesn't have to do. He's not required to do this other than his commission to his people and himself. The IHR joint, the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance, that joint. What is it about? Non-legally binding working definition. Intergovernmental. Yeah. I forgot, somebody else was talking about that as well. Yes, of course. I hate it be certain messages, man. Somebody just hit me up, was like, yo, are you still producing records? Man, I'd be hating to hear that conversation. Because they don't see me doing it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, of course I'm producing. What are you saying? Anyway, what are we on? We're just about on 2.5 hours. I hadn't planned on being on here this long. And the likes are cool. The likes should be through the roof for 2.5 hours, man. We supposed to be liking the room like crazy. The shares are supposed to be up. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all the live gifts and all that kind of stuff to kind of value the time that we spent on here. But I think the conversation tonight was electric, man. I need to save some because we got to get up in the morning. We got to have our conversation. Usually, Marley, if you're not following me, follow me now. Y'all turn on notifications to always. I usually get on Monday through Friday between 8 and 10 every morning. If it's not 8, it's 9. If it's not 9, then it's 10. And I usually have a conversation with y'all for about 1.5 hours to 2 hours. And again, it kind of ebbs and flows like this. Like, it was literally supposed to start off, being a music review, to help some people out. But the conversation quickly shifted as the first song that I played was a record called Turn on the Lights. You know what I'm saying? Turn on the Lights is exactly what's happening right now. The lights are being turned on, the roaches are scattering, and we're helping people understand what it is, because the floor was covered and nobody could see the floor. Now you can. And from here, we can start walking and building, you know what I'm saying, and doing what's necessary. But the key word I want y'all to walk away from is consistency, sacrifice, and build. We have to build. Powernomics gives some awesome strategies and reasons for why building is so important for us. Money matters. If y'all ain't ever been after trying to get money and trying to get paid, money matters. What's up, Jalissa? So-called meek shall once again inherit the earth. Yeah, man, we've been placed in that position and we've weathered it. They've tried to steal it and we've multiplied. Like, we've increased, and it is strength in numbers, but we got to get the numbers. And those numbers, to Marley's point, need to be focused, need to be instructed, need to be taught. One thing that you can say about the Muslim community here in America is that, and I don't want to use the word ritualistic, but I want to say that they have a routine, and that routine works. That routine is something that, as a collective, we all need to be humbled and strong enough to continue. They organize extremely well, and we're on the outside. When I think about it, I think about the episode where Malcolm marched the marched the people down to the hospital. And then you heard the rhetoric from everybody else on the outside. What are they doing? I want to be like that. Da, da, da. And the regular people who were not organized were looking. It looked like loose strands on clothing. You know what I'm saying? Everything else was seamed in properly, and they looked like loose strands. And that part is the part that was perplexed. So, you know, I think to your point, this is the reason, and maybe the opportunities that we have to use for these platforms to the degree that we can use them. I had another hard conversation. My cousin is really insightful, man, and I love talking to him. He has a great memory, and when I say that, I say when others forget what got us here, when others forget what life used to be like, he remembers, man, and he just laid some stuff on me today. And one of the conversations we were having is we don't have our own platform. We're a part of everybody else's platform. We're on TikTok right now that's controlled by the Chinese government or the Chinese people by some way. We're on Instagram that's controlled by somebody else. We're on Clubhouse that's controlled by somebody else. We're on YouTube where the CEO is Leor Cohen. You know, I met him before, Jewish man, you know what I'm saying? And y'all hear Dame Dash talk about him all the time. All of these platforms. So at any point, this conversation could be a mute point. People can, you know, we give, and to the argument that you're gonna hear the Jewish community have is nobody told y'all had to be on these platforms. Y'all could have made y'all own. Nobody told y'all had to sign to these record companies. You could have signed to your own. Nobody told y'all had to do business with us. Y'all could have done your own. That's the rhetoric that I'm hearing in response to any kind of conversation about the situation that we're in. Kanye West didn't have to sign those contracts. He ain't have to deal with those people. And all I say to them is, yes, at those points, those people did. You know what I mean? It was a necessity at that point because all of the access points were through those places. Yeah, man. We've heard all of the entertainers that they've taken out, from Tupac to Michael Jackson to Prince, they all spoke about it. You know what I mean? They all spoke about it. And, you know, as a result of it, you know what I'm saying? The only way that they know how to manage what J. Edgar Hoover has titled as Black Messiahs, you know, well, it's a mechanism, Marley, to, you know, to do their dirty work. If we doing it, they ain't got to do it. If we glorify it, then it's easier to do it. The value of the black life to black people is at its all-time low, bro. Like, it's the lowest I've ever seen it at. And they're going to try to make an example. What up, looking good? They're going to try to make an example of that when they, in 2023, I think it's January 2023, Chicago is going to allow what is being called the purge. What's about to happen in Chicago is about to be the most ridiculous thing, and I would hope that those people that are there could identify with it well enough to say, we ain't going for that. Let's flip this narrative that they got on its head, and let's not do anything close to what they think we can do. That would be my hope, would be to flip it on its head and go the other way. If Chicago people can talk to their relatives and their family and their friends and say, let's not, the fact that they give you access to do that is already heinous in itself, and you should know better. And you should know that something's up. If half of your friends are either dead or in jail for the behavior that they're now about to allow you to do, you got to know that something's up. Those that carry the weight of the community, but that's the routine. That's the routine. You know that, Marley. If you get the real gatekeepers and the real OGs out of the way, exactly. Not only do they not have any guidance, but they have no one to hinder them from doing and figuring it out for themselves. And of course, you know, these kids don't understand. They have no idea. they don't know that on the other end of that bullet is another human being. I mean, they know it, but they don't see it like that. They're so desensitized. Um, you know, yep. And I believe that's wise because he believes, like, you know what I'm saying, the respect that he would get. But what you fail to realize is these kids don't respect anything but the power of their pistols at this point. They don't respect anything but what they can manage. You know what I'm saying? They don't trust anybody. And nobody's coming to save them. Nothing changes. Nothing changes for them in their community. There's not a program or anything that they can do that's going to change what's about to happen in Chicago, unfortunately. I would tell parents that are concerned about their kids to move your kids out of Chicago. Send them to your relatives elsewhere, at least for a year or 2 years. Just move them away from the scene. If you care about your kids, move them out of there. On what? The perspective of what do you mean? Elaborate on Chicago? I mean, I got cousins and relatives that when gang. I think that these kids are gonna go willy-nilly because there are no real consequences. You know, they're not giving jail time for a lot of stuff starting in January. I think they got like no bond. You know, they're not gonna have you on a cash bond. All this kind of stuff. It's gonna be easy to do the dirt. I would have thought, like, in your mind, you say, if everybody got it, because I'm from this school, like, I'm from the school of it's better to be caught with it than without it, right? And you would say to yourself that normally knowing that more people are going to be carrying than not, your behavior would be different because you could get got. I didn't know that. Like, I don't really, listen, Chicago ain't my stomping grounds like that. I'm from Flint. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't know O Block was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, locked all the way in so that those people can do that they can only really do or only are encouraged to do what they're going to do to each other. That's crazy. That's crazy. On some one way in, one way out type stuff. That would be crazy. Oh, okay. It's a lot to be, you know, they just got man, it's, I don't, you know, it's disheartening, man, because, you know, the Chicago used to have a ridiculous Muslim community there. It used to be crazy there. The stronghold of the El Rookins, I'm trying to figure out what happened. The VLs even used to, you know, the VLs and the black gangsters used to hold things down. I don't understand. Like, I really don't understand. If I really feel like I don't hear anything about, yeah, that's what. But is it the gang culture? Because I ain't heard it. I'm not hearing like, yo, black gangsters is going crazy in Chicago. I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing VLs is running crazy, the El Rookins or the Latin Kings. I'm not hearing all that. That's what I'm saying. Okay, I get it. So so it's just a lot of friends or groups of people doing dumb, doing the madness. That's unfortunate, man. But Chicago about to be a crazy, I think it's going to be crazy. No rules or codes. And that's that. When you leave people to their own devices, this is what you get. When you leave them to their own devices and then tell them that their lives mean nothing, then they act like their lives mean nothing. I'm telling you, I'm not visiting Chicago. As much as I got friends and family there that I would love to see, me in Chicago, I probably would never leave downtown. If I do, I might jump out to Olympia or something like that. But Chicago, I know you're thinking that's the beginning looking good, but I think the morality everywhere else, I haven't heard of any other community, and I'm from Flint, like in Detroit and all that. I don't hear of any other community that's behaving like Chicago. And that's right. It's not going to be just the gangs that's going to be willy-nilly now. Now you're going to have these, what do they call those dudes that I I heard Philly was bad, but not Chicago. Is Chicago and Canton, Jersey, and Baltimore, they are synonymous with the nonsense. So those will be the only ones I think would usher those kind of things. I don't think that culture is not going to happen. Even though Atlanta has been buck wild recently, I don't think Atlanta's going to participate. I don't think, yep, they absolutely do. They put people in place to agitate these situations, antagonists. They put some people in there to make sure stuff is going to pop off. That's what I was saying, Bam. It was like, yo, I don't think it's and I would have liked it better if it was more unified, if that's strange enough to say. I would rather that if there was going to be violence, that it was organized like it used to be, because then they could have those sit downs and they could shut some of these things down. But I ain't seen that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the unfortunate part. What up, Monica? Anyway, man, y'all just trying to hold me hostage tonight, and I gotta that giving guns to kids, I believe government doing it. Absolutely. Because ain't it way too much access? Ain't it way too many people that's packing up there? Like you hear of one or two, you know what I'm saying, situations, like off situations, but all these kids got like semis. You know what I'm saying? They got semi-automatic weapons left and right. Like, and I'll tell you, man, one of the things that used to drive all this stuff, and I don't think it drives it as much as it used to when Q was alive, was World Star Hip Hop was a proponent for desensitization of our culture and community. I saw things on World Star Hip Hop that I had to stop clicking on certain things because I was afraid of what I was going to get on me that I wouldn't be able to wipe off. There was World Star Hip Hop. What up, Jira? And there was World Star Hip Hop, and then there was another one called Consumption Junction. I don't know if y'all seen them. Consumption, yep, because we saw a couple we saw some stuff on Facebook. Remember that dude? There's a couple incidents on Chicago where we saw the dude get gunned down live on Facebook. It's the most craziest stuff. I haven't seen as much on Instagram, but Facebook went there. Like, Facebook was like, and you could watch it on Facebook immediately if you caught it, and then they would take it down. What up, Tashi? But Consumption Junction was like one of those rare sites that I can tell you was the king of desensitization, because it would show you everything and you couldn't wipe it off. Now, World Star did that as well, but you could read the comments before you ever watched the video, which is what I had to start doing. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. And that's what it is. So if we talk about, there's so many layers to why these kids are the way they are, especially in Chicago. But a lot of it has to do with, because the gang culture was so prominent, that some of these kids are children of those gang members that have been locked up. So no father figure in the house, just stories of how hard their father was, or how crazy their parent was. So they're living up to those those markers that were those markers. Tashi, you talking about that other, was you in that live with me earlier in the Jewish room that was created? I might have been fussing a little bit, but not too much. I really wasn't fussing. I was just trying to, the lack of respect was pissing me off. It's like, yo, I don't interrupt y'all when y'all talk. Please don't interrupt me when I talk. I will yield the floor. You know what I'm saying? Period. So, but yeah, man, we've been on this live, y'all. I'm sorry if y'all missed it. We've been on here for 2 hours and 38 minutes. And I said about 30 minutes ago I was gonna shut down, about something like that. And then Marley and Trini started holding me hostage. So I blame them for me staying this long, but maybe it was for you guys to come in and see it. I hope you deep voiced and real situation. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we managed to get some clarity, but when everybody understood that where I came from, I think they got it. You know what I'm saying? Nah, man, likewise, man. We all in this. The one thing we all have to remember is this is us. Like, we're all in this together. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are a part of this. our life has to mean something, and it has to mean more to us as a collective than it does to us alone. You know what I'm saying? I know it's hard to say, but the most unselfish thing we're ever going to do is what we do for others in this lifetime, and how we leave it better than we got it when we got it. And I can tell you right now, I don't feel like we've made improvements to the life that we've been given to leave for others. And that's the commission that's on my heart. And that's one of the reasons why I communicate the way that I do. And sometimes that sometimes I feel like that African warrior gets stirred up, and I want to take action, but I understand that I'm far removed from the ability to do that by myself, and I'm far removed from being able to contribute in that way. So the only way that I can contribute is with the knowledge and with the inspiration and motivation that comes through me. I don't try to discover what the magic is. I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's coming from. I can't tell. This is not all me. Is all I know. I wish I could take credit for the way that things are and the way that I communicate and the life that I've been given, but I can't take credit for any of it. I'm merely going with what's been given to me. That's it. So I'm trying to leave everything behind. I want to leave it all here. When the words are being said, I want it to be said, yo, Scrap left it all. He's not taking much with him. That's the commission that I think we have on our lives and what we're doing. Leave your vessel empty so they can't say that you try to take something with you. No, we got to leave it all here, man. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for tuning into this live, man. I think it's important that we are able to dialogue like this, but we also have to start thinking of situations to build our own. I want y'all to always keep thinking of ways. Maybe you're not the builder, maybe you're the architect. Maybe you're not the architect, maybe you're the fundraiser or the sponsor. Maybe you want to maybe that's your commission in this thing. Everybody has a role. Everybody's not going to be the spokesman. Everybody's not going to be the strategist. Everybody's not going to be those different things. But once you find your role, please be the best, whatever your role is calling you to be, at its highest level, and make it so that whatever you have on you is so infectious that at least 5, 10, 20, and hopefully one day 1,000 or 10,000s of people are moved and gravitate based off of what you offered. Exactly, Tashi. That's the only point that matters. It's not what happens in your birth. It's not what happens in your death. It's what you did in between there. That's going to make all the difference. So hopefully, just know that even if we start at birth, even if we start whenever we start now, we've got work to do, and it started yesterday. I'm your host on this live. You know what I'm saying? Life I'm observing is that the 7 record over there, oh my God, we have Jackson 5 on one, Howling Wolf, and so many more brought back memories. That's funny. Can you see all that stuff in here? Is it that? Can you all see stuff? Because I got a lot of stuff going on. All right, with that in mind, y'all, I appreciate y'all joining the live. For those of you who bought gifts and anybody that cashed app, I appreciate y'all. Anybody who's hit the like button, the share button, the thumbs up button, and if you subscribed on YouTube, which I hope y'all do, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Those metrics help things go a long way. I appreciate y'all. This is not goodbye. This is to be continued. I'll see y'all in the morning. Hopefully y'all have your apple cider vinegar set and ready to go. And eventually we will get this music night going off, because that's such a deep part of me that I know that I can offer up some assistance for some of those who are being in the creative space. And if I can help create another millionaire or billionaire with the creative space in the music industry, maybe we have another advocate to help sponsor some of the initiatives that need to happen in our community. I'm Scrap. This is not goodbye. This is to be continued. All right, y'all.